All right, everyone, welcome back to Ask a Scientist Gaming. We combine mediocre gameplay with expert level science. I'm Ken Hansen. I'm Associate Professor in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry at Florida State University. I do all things light matter interaction, photons driving chemical transformations of molecules. But more importantly, joining me today is Dr. Rob Lazenby. Rob,
Hey, good evening.
if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Rob Lazenby. I'm at Florida State University as well as Ken in the Chemistry and Biochemistry department, and I run an electrochemistry lab. I also teach analytical chemistry and teach electrochemistry as well, and the main thing we do in the lab is electroanalytical chemistry.
All right, so equally important, what game are we playing tonight?
Well, not as advertised, but we're going to start with Driver on PlayStation.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately we had an issue in hooking up Rob's PlayStation 4 to our capture card. So we're starting with Driver on PlayStation 1, which is one that we can run directly. So we'll have to settle for this until we get the PlayStation 4 figured out. Yeah, getting the capture card to work, plus the system, plus the extra screen, controllers, ends up being a battle sometimes. And so, yeah, we struggled a bit with this one. But anyway, Driver, this is near and dear to your heart.
I like this game, yeah. I like driving too.
And like crashing, and this is pre-Grand Theft Auto? I don't remember.
Yeah. Oh, well, kind of at the same time. I think this is 1999.
I see. So this was a competitor.
I need to do a speed test now. So if anyone doesn't know this game, this is the test you do before you actually start.
Yeah.
I'm going to fail in 10 seconds.
So you can't leave until you beat this, if you're playing it the real way.
That's right. Actually, this is the first undercover mission. So if you can't do this, you can't start the game.
I mean, that's fair. They have you do a training montage before you actually have to play. That's fun. All right, you're going to try it again?
Sure.
All right. Because I can give you infinite time. Let me know if you want it. Yeah, that was a battle. The PlayStation 4, I'm not sure what happened there. Like, the capture card kind of recognized it, but it didn't.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Maybe I'll have to come back someday and play it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we should have done a test run. I was pretty confident because we've had Xbox and Switch connect pretty easily.
Yeah.
But there are input parameters.
Also, I'm not used to the Xbox controllers. So the angle between the two is unfamiliar.
I apologize. We even tried the PlayStation controller and that crapped out on us, so we're flying by the seat of our pants. But anyway, again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ask a Scientist Gaming. Throw your questions in chat if you have them. Rob will be happy to answer anything on electrochemistry, electroanalytics, biosensors. He is happy to answer any of those questions.
That's right.
Tonight we're starting with Driver. Unfortunately, we tried Call of Duty Warzone, and it struggled with the capture card, so we're starting with this in the meantime, and we'll troubleshoot from that. It's Gingy. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to Ask a Scientist Gaming. If you have questions, throw them in chat, because we're excited to answer those. Particularly, so Driver, this is a mission-based game, right?
That's right. Yeah, I can't actually remember much. I just searched for a list of driving games because you asked me kind of what games I wanted to play.
Yeah.
In addition to Warzone, and this one, like I definitely played a lot when I was little, but it's basically a bit like Grand Theft Auto, but you can't get out of the car.
So you just have to run people over? Is that the...
No, you also can't run people over. Oops. There also might be a lot less swearing with this game than there would have been with Warzone.
So one thing I'm curious about this menu is that, like,
this menu on the top right.
So I did a 360.
Yeah,
but that doesn't count as a 180. Yeah, I played it a little bit. I tried it.
I think, yeah, it has to be a certain speed before you do the 180. And a 360 can only be done by burnout.
So Grand Alchemist UNC has redeemed Take a Drink, but we haven't actually made our drinks yet. So I have to run.
Already? Wait, how does this work? Redeem. So he's paying us to drink?
So there's imaginary internet points.
Okay.
That's what the predictions are for. They're like betting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can use those points to redeem for things like requesting a factoid or demanding we take a drink.
Okay.
And so that's been redeemed right off the bat. I'm going to go make a couple drinks, so I'll be back in a little bit. Rob, I'm going to leave you on your own, unfortunately.
That's cool.
That's the way we'll have to do it, but...
Do you mind if, just before you go, did you actually complete this?
I did not.
Okay.
So if you want to skip this, press F3, and I'll bring you right to the gameplay.
Okay.
So I'll be...
And how do I monitor the chat? Or what do I...
So you can watch right here. Tropical Cyclone, thank you for opening the questions. What is electroanalytics or electroanalytical chemistry?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I'll assume you know what chemistry is. And then electrochemistry is a subfield of that, in which we use, we measure currents, apply potentials, and measure interactions at electrode surfaces that are basically primarily redox reactions. And so if you can think of a chemical reaction that changes oxidation state, electrochemistry is a good tool to be able to measure that process. As far as analytical chemistry goes, analytical chemistry is about measuring things, so measuring concentrations, measuring processes, measuring kinetics. And so when you put the two together, analytical chemistry and electrochemistry, you get electroanalytical chemistry. And multitasking is difficult, so I had to stop the game. So the burnout should be easy, the handbrake should be easy, the lap should be easy. The only one I haven't done yet is the reverse 180. I've been asked what kind of tea do I like. So, certainly not Lipton. I don't know how to do a reverse 180. I like Yorkshire tea. Yorkshire's where I'm from. That's probably my second favourite tea, but the one I drink the most. And I like PG Tips. You can buy that at Publix if you're in America. Publix is a supermarket if you're in Britain. And I like Tetley's, but not as much. PG Tips is good because it has a pyramid tea bag, so it diffuses better. Everything except this reverse 180, so I'm just going to start, and if I can do reverse 180, I can do the challenge, basically. Thanks for the drink. So let's drink to Grand Alchemist UNC.
All right, Grand Alchemist, thank you. Cheers. Welcome back to Ask a Scientist Gaming. Rob Lazenby, we're drinking, what are we drinking tonight?
Whiskey, that's a generic whiskey, although it tastes quite good, and Coke.
So this is actually, we went with Johnny Walker Black Label.
Oh, we did?
Whiskey, yep.
Okay.
So Coca-Cola plus Johnny Walker Black Label. I went with 4-to-1 mixture.
Yeah.
I don't know how that tastes. Is that too much soda?
It's good, it tastes alright. Actually, can we ask them questions? Can anyone tell me how to do a reverse 180? Like,
Does anyone know the game Drive? Oh, microfluidic.
So I know how to reverse. And I assume it's handbrake turn, but that's not.
Cheers, Mike. Thank you for stopping by. Ask Rob hard questions.
Is that a professor, Mike?
Yes.
Shatterick or Roper?
I won't tell you. No pressure.
Wait, can you see? I can't see anything.
No, I just know their names.
Okay.
Oh, he's the one that asked, what kind of tea do you like?
Oh, so does he... So he actually... Who even knows about Yorkshire Gold?
Tropical Cyclone said something about Yorkshire Gold. I don't know.
The thing about 8 p.m. is it's 1 a.m. in England, so... I don't think... I have a feeling it's probably not an American. We'll see. So I don't actually drink Yorkshire Gold, but Yorkshire, like the normal one, is good. Every day. I'm impressed. Can we give them points?
I wish I could. Who drinks Yorkshire Gold? All right, you're going to try it again?
I'd like people to help me, so I want to know how to do a reverse 180.
Does anyone know how to do a reverse 180? Daughter interruption. Good choice on the Coke and whiskey.
So whiskey on its own is probably a bad decision.
Yeah.
Coke is a good drink, so why not mix them?
Yeah. I mean, on a Wednesday night, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Straight whiskey. Although, I mean, Black Label Scotch is pretty smooth. It's not too bad, but you're rough if you have too much of it.
Yeah. So I'm going to say I'm going to skip this mission simply because I can't do a reverse 180. And I'm sure everyone saw that I did everything apart from that.
Microfluidic wants to know, where is your car going? So this stage, you're stuck in a parking garage until you complete that list of things on the side.
Yeah, so shall we skip?
Or we can cheat, and we will jump right to the menu. You can get a new
Let's
job.
get a new job.
So yeah. Skuzbot, thank you for the gifted tier 1 to Tropical Cyclone. There's the reward for drinking the Yorkshire Gold every day. Welcome to Ask a Scientist Gaming. All right, if you guys have questions, throw them in chat. In the meantime, Rob, what path brought you to where you are today? You've journeyed across the ocean, across scientific disciplines to become a professor at FSU. What brought you here?
Yeah, I think that's obviously a question where there's a lot of things that have to come together.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have predicted I'd be living in America or being a professor or playing driver in 2022
on stream while people watch you while you talk science.
What's that? We have to accept the mission.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
So really, as in school, like, I guess I liked all the subjects, but science was one where I actually got to do stuff, do experiments, burn things, mix things, and maybe some learning went along with that process. I think I had good science teachers, so they were very keen to do practicals and, potentially dangerous practicals or practicals outside where you'd build rockets, stuff you can find on YouTube. Here we go.
So I can stop the time.
Oh, on a timer, yeah. So I guess really a love of science brought me here. And then, so that's why I chose chemistry at university. Chemistry is a central science. So it's, if you like science and you're not really sure if you want to do something bio or physical or whatever, chemistry is a good place to start. And in my chemistry degree, I did a year in industry. So I worked with GlaxoSmithKline, and that exposed me to a lot of analytical techniques early on. Just for a note, I am an analytical chemistry professor, but we don't really call it analytical chemistry back home. We basically do organic, inorganic, and physical chemistry. So I actually like physical chemistry a lot, and that's where we'd learn our analytical stuff. 20 seconds. And, next one. And 13 seconds. So, in my last year of undergrad, I am doing both. 9 seconds. Yeah. I just have to do I just drive in or do I have to stop?
I don't know.
Slow down. Oh, I have to stop. No.
Oh.
No.
Too late. That's disingenuous. Too fast. It should be the
Yeah. So I should have known. Let's try again. No.
No worries.
I blame the controller.
Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely fair. And the fact you haven't played this for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So that's part of
That's
it.
right.
Grand Alchemist says that's them on Tennessee trying to get to lab. That sounds about right.
There's a lot of questions coming up. I'll finish the first question because it was a quite open-ended question and it's not kind of an obvious answer. This is where I lose all the time, just at the beginning. And remembering what button is reverse. So I did my undergraduate degree and because it was an undergraduate master's, which is quite a common thing in the UK, my final year was spent doing research, and so I did research in electrochemistry, and I did some things probably unusual in America but maybe a little more common back home, which was to stay in the same group to do a PhD that I'd started research. And I can see someone asked about why the diamond industry is a scam.
I think that one's for me, actually.
It could be, but diamonds commonly used in electrochemistry.
Ah, useful diamonds.
So actually in my master's project I worked a bit on boron doped diamond, using as a substrate, an electrode substrate to grow metal nanoparticles on. And I just liked electrochemistry, so I did a PhD in it, which is the thing to do. And then looked for postdocs, wanted to remain in electrochemistry but maybe branch out into applications, so found a really good one in Baltimore. With biosensors. Extended that postdoc into Cincinnati, get to the lockup. I've got to do the reverse now without cops getting me.
This is a Grand Theft Auto competitor, huh?
It is, but like in Grand Theft Auto, you could get out and shoot the cops. Not that that's the thing to do, but
yeah. So microfluidics has a point, and he's used to driving on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
So are you finding that challenging?
That's right.
No, the UK version of this, you're still driving on the right? It's still US-based driving.
So as you can see, the reason it's very different is this damage bar.
Yeah. I can make you invincible if you want.
I'm not a roper.
No.
So, is he still here?
Yes, he is.
He had cheats on, right?
Oh,
most people have cheats, don't
Most
they?
people do,
yeah. I'm not doing cheats.
All right, you're going to earn it the hard way.
And we'll ignore the fact I skipped the first mission.
All right.
I hope I don't have to try from the beginning.
Oh, no, it's probably the whole thing, isn't it? Because your car's partially damaged halfway through. Yep, you start over completely. How is there a felony bar? Isn't being a felon all or nothing? That's true. There's gradients of felons or number of felonies.
I guess if you play Grand Theft Auto, you'd know. If you run someone over, or if you kill a cop, the felon is going to go 3 stars immediately.
Yeah.
I brought Grand Theft Auto with me. I know it's on PlayStation. Is there a way we could get that game?
Ooh, I do not have it readily available.
That's all right.
Unfortunately, that's a 45-minute download.
Oh, sorry, I forgot my handbrake button.
What's the handbrake button? I didn't.
It's what should be triangle, but Y on the Xbox.
Okay. So it's the top one. All right. All right. So the why is the diamond industry a scam? Chipotle lover, thank you. This is a topic near and dear to my heart. I rant about this in general chemistry every single year.
And you're referring to the beauty diamond industry.
The aesthetic diamond industry. No, it's a good point of clarification, because it's like my argument is they're neither precious nor rare, right? They're I don't know, a controlled commodity by one particular company. But there are very useful things with diamonds, right? For like reflection sources or diamond anvil cells or electrochemistry or quantum computing. Diamonds are awesome. They have really awesome properties. But one of the most useless things you can do with them is put them on a ring and sell them in that way, because, I mean, the diamond industry is not a good thing. It's slave labor. It's all sorts of really toxic things. There's a lot of reasons not to buy diamonds. So if you're going to buy diamonds, get a synthetic diamond. They're cheaper. They're the same thing compositionally. They're exactly the same. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. I won't rant too much because this is Rob's night.
So well, I'll add to it, because obviously diamond is very popular now in electrochemistry because essentially it's really cheap.
Yeah.
Electrochemical diamonds are black because they're boron doped. So diamond is not conducting, so it wouldn't make a good electrode. But if you put in boron, and you can control the amount of boron you put in, so you can make it semi-conducting or a good conductor, then you have a very good electrode, because it's easy to clean. It can withstand harsh environments, harsh temperatures. People put them in pharmaceutical vats to kind of these high temperature process reactions, maybe organic reactions that are elevated temperature, and it's a good electrode that can withstand that pressure and temperature. And they're flat as well, so you can make them into different shapes. You can control the size. You can make microscale diamonds to make micro electrodes.
Oh, I see. So those are chemical vapor deposition. That's how they make them.
Yeah, that's the main method.
Yeah, so those of you that aren't familiar, basically you take a substrate of some kind, you take some kind of seed. It could be, sometimes it's a diamond, but essentially you add gas phase carbon to it, and it slowly deposits on the surface, and it makes a really nice planar surface, which you use for electrodes, but you can actually grow crystals. You can essentially take a diamond and make a bigger diamond by doing vapor deposition of carbon and just adding it onto the lattice. Really cool process, and I think that's how they make the very large synthetic diamonds. Lose the tail.
Yeah, this is the annoying thing about this game.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, the diamond industry is a scam in respect to jewelry. Don't buy it for jewelry. If you do, buy a synthetic diamond. If you're going to buy something, you might as well buy something that's actually rare and precious, like meteorite or like dinosaur bone or something that is actually worthwhile. Throw a Krispy Kreme and you'll get away. Do they have a Krispy Kreme button on this? Are you familiar with...
Oh, we have Krispy Kreme back home, yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. This is a cop-loving donuts joke, if you're not familiar with that one. All right. Petty Warp wants to know, what would you predict are some of the biggest future developments in electrochemistry? What's the next big thing?
Petty Warp, I like it. So I think electrochemistry is a really useful tool. So I think the greatest... the most significant future developments, I think, will be using electrochemistry to study another process, which is a cool thing because it makes electrochemistry very interdisciplinary, easy to collaborate with people or study new projects. Do I save or do I
think just keep going.
Yeah. I guess title screen?
No. Keep going. It'll get you to the mission box.
So slow. There we go. Yeah.
Yep.
Get a new job. So yeah, with small electrodes, it opens up a new, let's accept this mission, new possibilities. So the smaller the electrode is, it's becoming quite common in biochemistry or working with biology to couple electrochemistry with cell processes. That's perhaps where biosensors can come involved, or nanoscale electrodes to measure cell processes. And that's a field that's already established, and there's a lot that has been done, but a lot more to do, because if you look at the papers that do these kind of experiments, and these are papers written by electrochemists rather than biologists, you'll see a lot of them don't have too many individual pieces of data, and because it's difficult, so we're still at the proof of concept stage for a lot of it. That's not to say some certain techniques like fast scan cycle photometry might be a bit more advanced, and there are people even outside the field that have adopted that.
Nice.
So I would say, if looking back at the question, it was predictions, right? So I think it's about accessing the smaller scale and what applications are opened up when we work at the smaller scale. Other big predictions, I think batteries have a long way to go. They've come a long way. Everyone owns several. But energy storage is something where there's both incremental improvements that are needed, but we can potentially see new technologies we haven't thought of that allow greater energy densities.
Yeah, the other one I've seen growing a lot is synthetic organic electrochemistry.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. And I think, I've seen that a lot. Going to conferences, there's a real interest from organic chemists who perhaps haven't used this before, and then in the last 5 years or so, there's a couple of commercial systems that came out to help non-electrochemists do these experiments, and they've really taken off. So in industry, there's only room for improvement. So if you're a graduate student in electrochemistry, and there's easy jobs going for electrochemists in pharmaceuticals.
Well, so we saw the same thing in photochemical synthesis, right? Like using light to drive chemical reactions has blown up over the last 10 years or so. And it's really fun because it's organic chemists that don't know photochemistry or electrochemistry, and they're just like, let's zap it or let's shine light on it and see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of things being learned, but it's a very like wild west of synthetic organic chemistry where you just see what happens. And then you try to develop rationale, and then slowly you start to bridge those disciplines more and more. It's been really fun to watch, at least in the photochemistry.
Yeah. Oops.
It's a very specific one. What are your feelings about the Butler-Volmer equation?
Is it the same person asked about the Yorkshire tea by any chance?
No, this one is Steele's lunch. Steele's Lunch wants to know about the Butler-Volmer equation. I don't actually know what that equation is.
Sure. So I'm guessing this person has electrochemistry background. It's useful if you want to model electrochemical systems. I think you need to incorporate that. You want to.
So let's start with this for the general audience. What is the Butler-Volmer equation? What does it relate? What variables?
Try again. It's a it's a kinetic equation. I don't remember it.
Off the top of your head.
Yeah.
I can look it up actually.
Yeah, go on.
So it's a current voltage equation. There's the Butler-Volmer equation if you want to see it.
Okay, yeah. So we're looking there at the flux related. So flux of material to an electrode surface relates potential and current. So you can look at the kinetics of reactions based on the amount of potential you apply, what current you're going to get out of that. So it is therefore fundamental to, if you want to model a voltammogram or predict current from a electrochemical reaction, but just by changing the potential, then this is the equation that describes flux to the electrode surface. I've wrecked my car.
Yeah. So do you have any strong feelings about this equation?
So this is the equation that. So there's a few equations, then depending on who you who you'd acquire knowledge from electrochemistry about. I've heard this equation being called the most important equation in electrochemistry, simply for that kinetic argument.
More than the Nernst equation. Exactly
right. So it depends what you want to measure, and it depends
and why.
How you want to measure or what you're really interested in there. So, so I would actually argue that. Try again. So for I think the Nernst equation is really useful in that fundamental understanding of how concentration of your product and reactant are going to change with potential. And I think then the Nernst equation, and then the Butler-Volmer equation is going to be really useful and important if you're going to be using voltammetry.
So I have a gaming question. How do you know where you're going? You have to memorize it?
So bottom right of the screen you see a map.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a good question if you don't know. So yeah, the closer I get to it, the darker that's an arrow, and I'm at the tail end. I assume if I press the pause menu, it's going to show the full arrow.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's the butt end of an arrow. It's not just like a shaded region. All right, that makes way more sense, because I couldn't find the bank when I tried to play initially.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. And your map shows when you're being chased. That's fun.
Oh, you played this mission? Mm-hmm. Okay. How am I doing compared to you?
Oh, you know, much better than me. I put on infinite time and no damage. So I cheated. I play pretty much every game my guest requests. One, to test them, but two, just to also experience them. So,
what's your opinion of this game?
Oh, I like it. I mean, it's very Grand Theft Auto. I played that a little bit. Justin Kennemer, are you familiar with Carmageddon? It's
no.
It was a PC game that's similar to this. You didn't have missions, you had races, but you could blow up other cars. So that's pretty fun.
Destruction Derby, similar like that?
Yeah, exactly, something like that. And it had like power-ups where you could add launchers and rockets and all sorts of fun stuff. So
yeah,
that was one that I played way back then. All right, we got...
This is... Multitasking is hard, you know.
No, absolutely. This is the most fun part about Ask a Scientist gaming. Should have warned you what you were in for, but see, that's the thing, is don't worry about the gaming. The science will take care of itself. No. All right. Uncooked Cheeto wants to know what got you interested in Ecamp. Because Ecamp is not something typically taught in undergrad, right? It's something you stumble across in a lab and you get interested in. So what brought you to Ecamp?
That's right. I think I might be, well, I probably used to be dismissive of the influence of the electrochemistry professors at the university, but I think really looking back, that's probably a good reason. So that I was supervised in my PhD by 2 electrochemistry professors, and that's maybe uncommon to have 2 at the same institution.
Yeah.
So they kind of spoke to my imagination. And besides that, if you like science and you're not really interested in a super specialism that means you're restricting yourself, then you want to pick something where you can work in other fields.
That's a good time to pause. Grand Alchemist has purchased Redeem a Drink. So
okay.
Cheers, Rob.
Almost at the bottom.
The whiskey and Coke. I'll grab another one. No worries.
Cheers.
Grand Alchemist. Hopefully you have a drink in hand as well. If so, cheers. Again, thank you for coming by Ask a Scientist Gaming. Well, Rob is playing driver while talking about electrochemistry.
Yeah. We should probably apologize to people who I did advertise it to my undergrad class, so they were expecting Warzone.
I know.
I don't know if any of them are here.
I apologize. This is my fault. We didn't test the PlayStation 4. For some reason, the capture card is just not behaving well with the PlayStation 4, so I can't input it to this computer and stream. So we could listen to Rob play it, but we wouldn't be able to see the video. So we decided against the PlayStation 4. I apologize to anyone here that was out here for expert level Warzone gameplay, because
it is.
Next time we will do it. I know. I'm sorry, D-Chemist. We apologize. Yeah, that would have been the most modern game we've ever played on this, which is probably why it didn't work. It's too high resolution. We have to go with the pixelated screens.
So what modern games have you played on Xbox?
So I've done a little bit of Xbox on the capture card. The most modern games we played were on the Switch. We had some Mario Kart 8.
Okay.
And we played Mario Maker.
They're still going?
Yeah. No, it's the modern ones are beautiful. Scott Stagg actually played Mario Kart 8.
Okay.
He had a lot of fun with that. What did we play? Zelda, Breath of the Wild. That was another good one. But those were fun, so I don't know what happened on this one. I'm a little hurt about Warzone. I apologize. All right, Petty Wop wants to know, what's the worst part about living in the States?
I'm not sure I'll answer that on here.
It is going to be on YouTube at some point.
Yeah, can we decline to answer?
No, I'll reframe it. What was the most surprising part about living in the States?
So I was surprised that a lot of stereotypes are true.
That's awesome.
We could leave it at that if you like. So there's a lot of differences. There's a lot of, I've seen things here that, you'd never see back in in what you could argue. It's on YouTube, right? So, so America has good things, had bad things.
Yeah.
Here's a few things that surprised me. So it surprised me how few Americans have left America.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And if you go to Europe, it'd be difficult to find someone who's not been to another country. And I think travel does expose you to those other cultures and things that is a positive thing. So for people, and I know opportunity is one thing, but if there's people on here who haven't left America, I would advise seeing what the world is like.
Yeah, I saw an infographic recently that showed the number of people that were living in the same state they were born in. And it's a really high number. Like in the Midwest, it's something like 50% of people live within 50 miles of where they were born. They very rarely adventure outside of it. But, leaving the country in the U.S., it's so big, right? Mm-hmm. And like Europe, you can hop on a train and be in another country in, a couple hours.
Yeah, that's another thing. Transport and... things like these are stereotypes like Americans drive everywhere and stuff, but it's really true. And if you look at the infrastructure and how houses are, you can be in a housing area with this zoning laws. They just basically put houses and nothing else.
Yeah,
and that's really weird. So
that one has an actual justification, at least historically, is that like most of the European cities were built before cars, right? So the infrastructure is not based on cars, but the U.S. it was post-car, post-interstate. That's what you build around, and so we kind of just ended up with it. But I agree.
But it makes things difficult, especially for people who either can't afford a car or can't drive for whatever reason. I think the inequality here is surprising.
Yeah.
For people that don't know, like, I've lived in some like dodgy areas and stuff, but like I see probably 30 homeless people a day in Tallahassee.
That's crazy.
Like at every major intersection, there'll be like someone holding a sign. So these. Someone asked, was it the bad thing about America, or it's worst and best? So I think
worst and best.
Best. I really do think there is a lot of opportunity here, and I think that's social mobility is generally higher.
Higher than the UK?
I would argue it. I know it's so big that these direct comparisons are hard to make, but I think the class systems are a little stronger in the UK, where it's a lot easier to be wealthy if you already have wealth. And America, that doesn't really matter so much, but that's a very generalized statement.
It's gingy. That's because the rest of Florida sends all their homeless people to Tallahassee on Greyhounds. I don't know if that's actually
on
true.
Greyhound.
Yeah. The central busing. It is the capital. Might as well have politicians at least be aware that homelessness is a problem. But yeah, that is pretty brutal.
Yeah, the infrastructure here is really good, so you can like everywhere has food. Like there would be at McDonald's in like small towns and stuff, and the supermarkets are really big. Like Walmart is colossal.
All right, so we're a half hour in. We should throw a prediction up there.
Go on.
Which one do you want to do?
Let's see this list. In 26 seconds, maybe.
No pressure.
Because I know people are probably getting bored of this mission.
Honestly, if people are coming here for the gameplay, they have made a bad mistake. Nothing against you, Rob, but
that's right.
There's probably somebody else playing Driver right now on Twitch. Million or so streamers, but they are here for the electrochemistry discussion.
Yeah, so let's have a look.
That's a fun one to start with, maybe. Historical.
So do you post this?
Yeah. So I'll post that for them. So don't give away anything. Just do that one. So that is exactly 45 characters. All right, so we're going to give them 2 minutes to answer this question. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for predictions. So if you have some standard internet units to spend, now is your opportunity to bet them on science questions. We don't use predictions for gaming, at least not usually. We use them for science questions. So you're going to have a question pop up, and you'll have two options to pick. Pick one of those two, and we'll see if you're right. And so usually they're science-related questions. In this particular case, the question is, who did the first electrochemical experiment?
And it's out of these two names. So
out of these two names, there's,
you can look like
600 BC.
Right.
Like, who was it? It's Miletus that was doing like static electricity. But out of these two individuals.
Yeah.
Out of Galvani and Volta, who did the first electrochemical experiments? If you're not following, click the follow button, get your 300 standard internet units. You can bet them on science questions, and we'll see what's right. Also, note that you are on the Ask a Scientist honor code. Don't Google the answer. Instead, just do your best to guess and or know the answer. Who did the first electrochemical experiments? Is it Galvani or Volta? Steele's Lunch, thank you for the follow. Bet your internet points right now. Which one is it going to be? Is it Galvani or Volta? Who did the first electrochemical experiments? And for those of you not familiar, if you go above chat, there's going to be some kind of box on the screen that says make a prediction or predict. Click on that button. You can bet whatever point amount you want, depending on how confident you are which one of these did the first electrochemical experiments. Because both of these guys is a really fun history. I talk about this in Gen Chem when I teach Ecamp.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many names I could have put here. There's so many people who were influential.
Yeah.
And then so with all these questions, especially historical questions, this is as best we know. So like, even back then, if something's not talked about or published or presented, then you don't know about it. But these are like the key experiments that they were doing.
All right, we have about 20 seconds left. Put your guesses in now. Who did the first electrochemical
3
experiments?
seconds.
Going down. time. About 10 seconds left. Throw your guesses in there. This one's pretty contentious. That's kind of fun. So Galvani and Volta.
Can I see the results?
Yep.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
All right. So last guesses.
Nothing personal.
All right. So there is the. So 3 people bet Galvani, 4 people get Volta, but the people that picked Galvani bet more money. So that's why the 56% there is.
Oh, that's cool.
So what is the answer?
Yeah, Galvani.
Galvani. All right. Congratulations for those of you that picked Galvani. Galvani was the first. So obviously there's a backstory behind this.
Yeah, so, well, Galvani, these 2 guys were both in Italy together. Chased the boat with this much damage. I thought this is the bad thing about this game. So Galvani did this experiment with frogs, and frogs' legs specifically. And that's it. Okay, so he made a mistake. So he did some experiments by putting metal wires into frogs in a circuit, and saw that the frogs' legs were moving. And so he did quite a few different experiments, but not the proper controls. So what he did was saw that he was able to move, and some of his work kind of inspired people like Mary Shelley for Frankenstein. That around this time, loads of people were playing with electricity, and the idea of animal electricity came up, which is what he called this movement of, I should specify, dead frogs.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah, and it works with muscles. Once you put these metal wires into them, even though the frog is dead, you can either shock them with electricity or change or apply 2 different metals, and you get this effect. And so he published it or presented it rather at conferences, and it was at the time even contentious, and you can see why, I guess, in the 1800s when things were, there are religious implications for some of this stuff of bringing things back from the dead. That's kind of how it's in literature talked about. But then Galvani, at that time, then I would say inspired Volta to do experiments on this, and it didn't matter if there was a dead frog or not. So he disproved the animal electricity theory simply by doing it with things that weren't frogs. But then by putting in different metals, so copper and zinc, he made the first battery. So he made a voltaic pile, as he called it, named after himself, and was able to show that these different metals create this potential difference, and therefore drives a reaction to happen, and set that inspiration for modern batteries, I guess.
So when I recount that story, the short version, it's Galvani thought only animals could create electricity, and Volta came across and said, "I don't believe you, so I'll invent a battery," which is kind of what he did. The voltaic stack, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Did he actually name it after, like in the original publication, he named it after himself?
That's a good question. I'm not sure the answer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know there's people who followed his work then made it. So I think Humphrey Davy, who did a lot of work on electricity, he made one of these and gifted it as a present to Volta. Yeah.
So Volta, was he the one that coined galvanics? I don't have a skip for this one.
Okay.
Do you want to do cheats?
No.
No. There's too much pride here.
So this is a 2-part mission where I've damaged my car.
Oh no,
a lot.
You started out a lot of damage.
Yeah.
That sucks. Can you restart mission?
I could, but
yeah.
I don't know if it's actually possible just because the way, see, there we go.
Are you sure?
We
can get you through this.
Can we turn cheats off again?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it.
Where's my cheats menu?
So just doing the immunity cheat, I would imagine.
Invincibility on.
Yeah, invincibility.
All right, you're up. So I like that original battle. The way I heard it recounted, and take all of old historical recounting of scientific discoveries with a grain of salt. But Galvani, I mean, that was back in the day when you were a Renaissance scientist, right? Mm-hmm. You were a biologist, you were a chemist, you were a physicist.
Yeah.
And so he was actually dissecting things and doing electrochemical related, like wire related experiments. And so it sounds like it was an accident, right? Combining those two together, and he saw, frog legs twitching. That's where the animal electricity came from. But what I really like about that, as well as a bunch of other discoveries, is all that's happened with science progress over the years is we've just knocked human beings off our pedestal of importance, right? In terms of like, only a human can make urea, only biological things can make electricity, so on and so forth. It's just every time we just get shown how wrong. And so, yeah, whatever you think humans are superior at now, it's only a matter of time before we show. Cuddle puppy. Ask a cheater gaming. Ouch. They're going after the heart on that one. Oh, man. That was a fun one. So who named the galvanic cell then?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would imagine, this is just an educated guess because I don't know the answer, I'd imagine it would be named after Galvani, that means after the time period of him, in retrospect.
I'm just going to look up the history quick.
Yeah, do that, yeah.
This is one of those, like, both of them won historically, all right? They both were kind of right, because now we know about bioelectrical signals. We use it for EKGs and ECGs, but also we have batteries, so they get stuff named after them in their honor. So voltaic cell and galvanic cell.
I think I went the wrong way. But can I see the map?
Medici conducted a battery entirely out of biological materials in answer to Volta. That's fun. So there was a back and forth there. All right, I'm not finding an easy answer, so I'm going to bail on that.
Yeah, if anyone just saw the map, they would have seen how badly I went the wrong way.
No worries. Cuddle puppy. These cops are so violent. Reminds me of real life. Eee. Ouch. British cops. They carry guns?
No. Well,
some of them do.
Yeah, airport and government.
Other than that, they don't.
Yeah.
It was an eye-opener. Going to like Washington, D.C. and seeing somebody walk around with an AK-47, I imagine that's got to be a shock to the system.
Yeah.
But. All right. Couple questions to catch up on.
Also, we don't have this kind of violent driving style.
Yeah. That's fair.
They're afraid of wrecking their cars. They literally, they just back off. They don't chase.
Wait, did you die there?
I don't know. Oh, I ran out of time.
Oh, okay.
I'm not asking for a time cheat.
Right.
I can do it. I need to look at the map. That's what I need to do.
All right, Scuzzbot wants to know, have you visited any national parks? That's fun. That's one thing we have. A lot of land with a lot of park area.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've only actually been to the Florida national parks, so the Everglades, and I think something's wrong with the controller, so I can't turn.
What the hell?
Like,
let's try this again. Press up.
Press up. Down. Oh wait, no, go back. That one was on down. I think the down and the right seem the fourth one down. Yeah. Cool.
Let's see if that works. Troubleshooting as we go.
It's not working.
All right, so that.
Maybe I'll restart. Well, oh, the cheat messed it up.
Maybe. Was it working during the first?
Well, I can't press left to go to yes now.
God.
Oh, wait, that. I think it's just very unresponsive.
Did the controller just go bad on you? Try it again. Up.
Up. Oh, it's set to left. I see. Up. Go to the second one and down. Do people want to know what we're doing?
No, that's fine.
No.
We're setting the controller.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
They look correct. Yeah.
All right. There we go. Despite the chaos. Messageo, thank you for the follow. Enjoy your standard internet units, which we'll bet on predictions sometime soon. We'll spend on predictions, whatever you want to call it.
It's gone.
But yeah, Florida national parks. You haven't gone outside of Florida in terms of...
not to national parks. Usually I like to go to like a city and then see what's going on there. and I have lost the steering.
You want to try the joystick?
Sure.
Enjoy that sound. Try that one. We're going analog, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, do you reckon I could probably change the analog, but maybe I pressed that by mistake?
I don't know.
No.
Something's working.
It's back to front. Left is right and right is left.
Alright, let's try this again.
I'm going to press the D-pad buttons because I think I must have pressed that, which changed it from analog.
Alright.
So left and right. No, it went. That one, yeah. There we go.
Alright, do up again.
Up and down.
Alright.
There we go.
Alright, we figured it out, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, catching up on a few questions here. D Chemist wants to know, what are your feelings about industry? Aside from having had an early interaction with Ecamp professors, where would you see yourself in industry had you not become a professor?
Sure. Industry's, I think, pretty cool. Because in my own in industry as an undergraduate, I think I learned quite a lot.
Should I get another one?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
All right.
And I think it would be relatively easy to transition into a similar role. So working in an analytical lab, maybe on some kind of detection methods or analytical method development within industry, based on prior experience. I think working in science is a little different to science in general. So even in academia, there's a lot of stuff you do that couldn't really be called science, like writing a syllabus, for example. Oh dear. So yeah, I have no problem with industry. I think if people want to pursue that, I'd say go for it. I think I know friends that are doing very well in industry. And industry is quite a broad term, so there's a lot of opportunities. So it's not just all big pharma in chemistry. There's small startup companies, there's biosensing companies, there's technology, engineering, even software companies. I mean, I know Apple has quite a large battery development center. They employed a couple of electrochemists I know. So yeah, I think industry's it's a good option if you're wanting to be in science. I think when industry is less good, it's often perceived to have a little less freedom. But I know people working in industry that do have freedom to do what kind of experiments they want to do. I assume that was a grad student question, maybe, or possibly
or an industry question.
Could be, yeah, sure.
I mean, going to industry has crossed my mind more than once, like, because it would be less work, less hours, get paid more. My first student that graduated started at a higher salary than me, and I was like, is it worth it? But
yeah,
the flexibility we have is like unparalleled in any other. I mean, I guess national lab you might have a little bit more, but something to be said about pursuing your own. So what's the goal of this mission? I haven't been paying attention. DC
follow the
Chemist.
arrow.
It was an undergrad that asked that question.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
There's a lot of electrochem jobs in industry.
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
like galvanization and coatings and all sorts of processing things, semiconductor industry, batteries, solar cells, all of it is Ecamp related.
Yeah, and I know actually people from my PhD group that went into every single role you just mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing to think about in grad school. It's not the research you're doing; it's kind of the toolbox that you're developing. Like what expertise do you bring to the table when going to a job? That's what they really care about. Like not a particular topic, but like tool sets, toolbox, and skills you have. A cuddle puppy is an overgraduated puppy. That's fair. I'll call that post back. I don't know what that qualifies as.
Cheers.
Oh, you did it?
I think so, unless there's a third part.
Nope. Well done. Victory. All right. Should I take off the cheat?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So did this screw it up last time, or it was a button push?
I think it was probably my button pressing of this analog.
I see. Okay. All right. Let's see if it works. And again, I'm sorry for anyone that showed up for Call of Duty. We apologize. The PlayStation 4 was not working with our capture card, so we're going with PlayStation 1 Driver, which is a throwback to, what would you have been? This would have been high school for you?
Let's think. Yeah. Probably first year of high school. Secondary school.
Secondary school, yeah. Sorry. I apologize. Americans. High school. All right, should we throw another prediction? It's almost 9 o'clock and we have a bunch of these. Which one do you want to go with?
Let's do... let's do number 7, another historical one, I guess.
All right, we're starting with the history lessons, ladies and gentlemen. All right, if you have standard internet units, now is the time to spend them on this prediction, deciding... Pop it up right there. Not familiar names necessarily when you think about the light bulb, but the question is, delete. Uh-oh. Let me start that again. I apologize. I put it at 30 seconds and I want to give you guys a little bit more time to think about it. All right, so this is another one. Which developed the first light bulb out of these two individuals? Was it De La Rue or Goebel was the first to develop, out of these two, which developed the light bulb first?
Yeah, we should specify out of these two in a similar scenario to number 1.
Yeah.
There's so many people involved.
And it's one of those things like, at what threshold is something defined as a light bulb?
Right.
Because there's a lot of ways to make light with electricity. Mm-hmm. At what point does it actually become a light bulb? So we've limited these to these two individuals. Take your standard internet units now and guess on which one of them it is. Again, Ask a Scientist Gaming honor code. Don't cheat. The wrong way again? Just try to guess your best answer in this particular case. Which developed the light bulb first? And the answer is not Thomas Edison. Well, that's fun. The overhead map is pretty good. Cuddle Puppy, we'll get back to that one because that's an important question. All right, is it De La Rue or Goebel? Who invented, of the two, which developed the light bulb first? Go ahead and throw your predictions in there now. Again, if you have standard internet units, if you're not following us, follow us. You get 300 free internet units that you can spend on this question. And then eventually request a factoid and make us take a drink. It's kind of useless points outside of this channel, but fun nonetheless to actually have a quiz question that doesn't actually spend classroom-related points. Yeah, well, we need a different guest for that type of question, but so it goes. All right, 10 seconds left. Throw your
No, 55 seconds left.
No, well, I'm doing the prediction time.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, not yours. No pressure. You have 48 seconds
no
left.
No pressure, I'll do it.
And I'll wait for this round.
Although I'll give myself so much damage that I won't be able to do the second part, I assume.
It's okay. That's pretty harsh.
Can we see what answers are people giving?
Yes.
Oh,
you
okay.
Want to wait till the end?
Yeah, let's wait.
I mean, it's kind of harsh that it gives you the damage to the next round, and you can't fix or repair it. Just
it is. I think. Yeah, if you wreck your car, basically, Or if you're close to the end and you're on most damage, it's best just to wreck it and just stop.
Yeah, that's kind of
give yourself a
unfair.
better chance.
Like, what's the point of having a checkpoint that screws you over like that?
Yeah.
All right, so the guesses were, in terms of points, it was 74% for De La Rue, 60 points for Henrik Goebel. That's a 4-2. So the correct answer is...
So most people got it right. It is Warren De La Rue.
Warren De La Rue. Choose outcomes. Congratulations, those of you that predicted De La Rue. So I'm not familiar with either of these individuals. So,
sure.
Is there backstory on these?
Yeah, I mean, really, so I actually, do you know the program QI?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had a question on this, and they said it was Heinrich, basically avoiding the trap of saying Edison. So Edison's known because he had the first, what we'd recognize today, I guess, as being a commercially viable light bulb.
Yeah.
But going back even like 100 years before him, so Humphrey Davy, when working with electricity, he saw that hot wires give out heat. It's actually a technique we use in our lab. So we use apply a large voltage across a wire to heat up a resistive wire, and it gives off heat. So we can melt glass with that, and the more potential you apply, the brighter that becomes. So we have a practical application of hot wires, and kind of the backstory really is with Goebel, at least. So Goebel went through some legal arguments. So he actually got sued by Edison. He made, I think it was 1854, because I had to do a bit of research actually to get a date. So in 1854 he was using these bulbs, and he had them in New York, and people were like, he just used them as a practicality. He didn't think about patenting them. He got them working. And Edison came along, and he did this plant. So he I think carbonized bamboo was the one that worked best. He tried thousands of different plants and then patented a few of those. Had over 1,000 patents. And he got these to last a long enough time that people would buy them, or the everyday person could buy them. There's a few other individuals. So people worked with platinum wires, which obviously are very expensive. They work just as well. It's just that you can't commercialize that product. And then this guy Warren, so he did it in 1840, and he actually had a. So I class him first because, that was like so close. Yeah, so he if you were to look him up, he had working light bulbs as well.
I mean, Edison, in retrospect, it's pretty controversial in terms of what did he actually invent versus what did he steal? What did his minions invent and then he patented? Yeah. So
I think the Goebel story, I think, is kind of a little sad, just because if he didn't patent it and he lost out because of that. Yeah. And he had a lot of witnesses to show that he was using it decades before Edison.
But if you have money and lawyers, you can go far in this world. That's unfortunate. So yeah, Warren De La Rue, the answer is 1840, and then Goebel was 1854, and Thomas Edison 1879.
That was the year of the patent, yeah.
Yeah. So that's
and I would assume he was working on it before then. So there's, I'm prepared to accept there's some differences in timelines depending on which sources you pick, and that could even mean there's people who were developing this that we don't know about.
Yeah.
I mean, Humphrey Davy and Volta, who we've mentioned already, they both worked on this too.
Tropical cyclone. Lightning bugs would be the best answer. I mean,
enough of them.
That's chemiluminescence. I think that counts as an electrochemical. I guess it's redox chemistry, right? So, yeah, I don't know. That's the hard part about this. Not only defining what a light bulb is, but what is an electrochemical reaction, right? What can you classify as that?
If you're measuring charge differences, movement of ions, movement of charges, that's enough for me, I think. Like measuring those, so I wouldn't class a solar cell as being that, even though charge is moving around.
Yeah.
But if you can make some, I mean, I'm going the wrong way, aren't I?
No, that's right. Look at the.
Let me see.
Oh no, you're right.
Yeah, so movement of ions, movement of species, movement of charge that you can measure. That's electrochemistry. So I'm definitely not going to make this round.
No worries. Learning experience.
Yeah.
Steele's Lunch has a follow-up. If Edison had all those patents, why did he need to electrocute elephants to try to take down AC?
I've heard about that too, yeah. Maybe he was just a bit of a bad person.
So, this weekend I actually watched the Tesla movie, which
Okay.
I don't remember who that's starring, but it's Ethan Hawke is the one. He's playing Tesla. I don't remember who's playing Edison in that case, but that does a pretty good historical. Like, it wasn't a particularly fun movie to watch. It was kind of slow paced, but it seemed like it was fairly true to the story. But it was like he was basically trying to show that AC was bad and DC was good, because that's what he went in on. He wanted DC, and ultimately AC won out. And so it was he was just trying to undermine the competition by any means necessary. So it turns out electrocuting elephants is one way to do that, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But not only that, but electrocuting people, like showing, not like they tried to implement it as a capital punishment, right? That was when they first introduced electrocution, was with Edison, and Tesla were still alive at the time.
It's more impressive to electrocute an elephant than it would be like a rodent or the typical animals you go to in science.
Yeah. You might as well go big.
If you want to prove it's dangerous, a dead mouse is not going to scare people.
Man, they brought in elephants just to electrocute them. That's a crazy time in history. All right, Cuddle Puppy wants to know, what's your favorite Mesopotamian warlord? You don't have to answer. This is going on YouTube.
Is it possible that could be a multiple choice question? To make it easier for me?
Cuddle Puppy, what are our options? What are your favorites? I think we have the wrong guest for that question. I don't even know who the guest is. The Mesopotamian history. Jim and Bob. Sure, we'll take it.
Well, those are my options.
No, we'll let that one go. All right, Petty Warp wants to know, who are both of your science heroes in the field, like scientists that inspire you?
Did you say both? Oh, both
So
of
for
us.
me, I do,
Yeah.
yep.
So that's a good question. I think, like, personal heroes, I think it's people who have mentored me. Like, I wouldn't be here now doing what I do if it wasn't for a PhD supervisor. It's Pat Unwin. Just to expose me to so much possibilities within science and electrochemistry. Historically, I think, there's too many names to count, I think, but someone like, I think Volta's pretty interesting as a person, and I think also Humphrey Davy, he was pretty cool. So he I know he did a lot of work in electrochemistry, but he did a lot of work with electricity, and was able to give us so many elements of the periodic table. I think those early discoveries that just show that one person can do so much, that's pretty cool. Modern heroes too, I think. I think it's nice to have those personal connections with big people in your field. And I could name a few. I think it would be unfair to name a specific person who I haven't directly worked with, which is why I named them my PhD supervisor.
Yeah. No, but meeting those people at conferences for the first time is a life experience.
Absolutely.
Because they are gods on paper, right? Like the names at the end of the papers that you read every single time, and you see their papers come up and you read every single one, and all of a sudden you're like shaking hands with them. that was so I postdoc for Tom Meyer. So those of you that aren't familiar, Tom Meyer is a giant in inorganic chemistry. Like he's an icon, one of the people that like brought in Rubippi chemistry and photoredox chemistry, photoinduced electron and energy transfer from Rubippi. Huge. Now it's making a major impact on solar cells and all sorts of things. But I did a postdoc for Tom Meyer, and what was crazy to me is the first time I met him, he's just this short little old guy. And like you have this image of this just icon, this giant in the field, and like physically he's not intimidating at all, but he'll sit at the back of the room, not pay attention at all, and then drop some iconic question on whoever's speaking. And he's still a giant despite being a small in stature. That was pretty eye-opening for me.
Yeah. I think one of the name I'll mention is Bard.
Bard, yeah.
So if you're unfamiliar with electrochemistry, there is really the book, which is the Bard book.
Bard, Electrochemistry.
I'm meeting him for the first time. I was on conference there. We're in Spain, Lanzarote. And he arrived a little later. So
Electrochemical methods?
Yeah, that's the one, yeah. So he's retired now. So he's quite an old character. And he was old then, so this was probably in 2011 when I first met him. And the room went quiet when he entered. It was in the evening at a meal.
Yeah.
It just went quiet.
To have that presence.
Yeah. And because he's old as well, it was a drawn-out process to walk to the table.
Yeah.
And people like whispering and stuff. That was cool just to witness what was going on.
That's awesome.
But yeah, his textbook is... I use it for my class. I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, there's a link in the chat right now if anyone wants to check it out on Amazon. But Bard, I mean, even those of us that are like pseudo electrochemists, we know Bard. Like he literally wrote the book. I mean,
right.
He changed everything. I mean, yeah. So one of my heroes actually is Michael Kasha. For those of you that aren't familiar, Kasha was a professor at Florida State University. He did a lot of things in photochemistry. So we have Kasha effect, we have Kasha rules, we have Kasha diagrams. Like Kasha he founded molecular photophysics, or was one of the founding fathers. Like he's one of the first that found singlet oxygen, triplet states in organics, excited state proton transfer. The list goes on and on. And so Kasha was one of those names as a grad student I was very, very familiar with. And then I ended up getting a job at Florida State University. And it's one of those things, like when I told Peter Durovich, who was a senior scientist when I was a grad student, I told him I was going to FSU. He's like, Michael Kasha. Like you just know he was there. And what really sucks is Kasha died 1 week before I arrived at FSU.
I didn't know that.
So I never got to meet Michael Kasha. It was literally, he passed away at 92 years old, still going to office, still like doing active work, but I never got to meet him during visitation. So that was one of my, I won't say regrets, but like.
So, in your interview process, it was...
No, he was never there. No. So I met with, our Nobel Prize winner, Harry Kroto, but Kasha was out apparently during that visitation or when I was coming back. So yeah, I never got to meet him, but again, a giant in the field. Between him and Turo, who wrote the photochemistry book, both those guys are absolute icons. So yeah, climbing on the shoulders of giants.
Oops.
It was always metaphorical rather than literal. Yes, exactly. But it's one of those things, like talking about Tom Meyer, is you have an image of just how big this person is because their presence in literature, because their citations, and it's just kind of shocking to see. It's just this small old dude. I don't know. It's a disconnect from what you expect in terms of what their stature should be.
I think, yeah, in general, that's a good point. You meet people and it might not be what you expect.
Yeah, I'm sure it happens with celebrities a lot.
Yeah.
Right? You expect Tom Cruise to be taller than he is, but it's another thing when like all you see is their name in papers, and maybe you see a photo of their face on a review article, and then all of a sudden you meet them in person. But
oops.
But like Rob said, there's a lot of people that have helped me along the way. People that, as a grad student, I met. Like Phil Castellano has been an awesome mentor for me through the years. It's I really look up to him and his successes.
Good here.
So, Steele's lunch has redeemed. Take a drink. So, Rob.
Okay.
Cheers. No, you're going to do it. Cheers.
No, yeah.
Steele's. Hopefully, you have a drink in hand and not class tomorrow. Or maybe you do. Whatever. Thankfully, we taught today.
Just
so.
to be sure, he pays for that, right?
Yes, yeah. In terms of points, they can't just randomly force us to drink nonstop. Although we thought about adding something, so this costs them 500 points, so they have to watch for like, I don't know, probably an hour and a half.
Which the drinking costs 500.
Yeah, but I was thinking about
how much is the quiz worth?
The quiz, it depends how much you bet and what the payout is.
Oh, okay.
So it's a return on. So yeah, it's
maybe I'll drink a bigger gulp next time for him. 500 points sounds like a lot. I think I just had a little sip.
I mean, drink as much as you want. It's mostly for fun. I was thinking about adding one that's like 5,000 points for taking a shot of something, but I don't know. You got to make it home somehow tonight, or sleep on the couch. It's up to you. But Steele's Lunch, thank you for joining us, and thank you for spending your internet points on us drinking on a Wednesday night. It's awesome. We don't teach tomorrow. We taught today. Speaking of which, how was class today? First day back, big classroom.
Yeah, I had a little technical issue.
Yeah.
Hopefully the students are forgiving.
Which room are you in?
Fisher 0275.
I see.
So the issue was the computer I was logging into was oh dear, I've lost. It took around 10. Good job, I arrived 30 minutes early. So it took around 10 minutes just to log in. Mm-hmm. And then the PowerPoint took 10 minutes to open, and it didn't open. So I closed it. Then I opened it again. It was taking another 10 minutes. So I decided at that point, so it was about 10 minutes before lecture, then I'll just go to my laptop.
Yeah.
But because I was on my laptop, I had trouble sharing the right screen. It was fine because I knew what I was doing for the first 30 minutes, but then I transitioned from PowerPoint to notes, and at that point, the audio cut. So I do apologize to the class for that.
If any Rob students are in class, don't blame him. Technical difficulty is like trying to play PlayStation 4 on Twitch via an Elgato capture card.
Yeah.
So it goes.
I will add, I arrived in plenty of time, and it has worked before with no issues.
No worries. How many students in that class?
I was expecting 77, but I think it's up to 88 at the minute.
Oh, wow.
20 something were on Zoom.
I mean, that's a good size room for that, though. That's pretty spread out, so that's not too bad. Bronco, thank you for stopping by. It's been a while. I hope your holiday break went well, as well as everyone else, holiday plus New Year's.
Yay.
It's great to have you guys back. 1 year goes by fast. That is pretty crazy. Bronco, thank you for the tier 1 subscription. Wow, subscribed for 12 months. That's absolutely crazy. So we've done, I think you're our 27th guest on this. So it's every other week. Cool. We have breaks along the way. But yeah, Bronco, welcome back. Hopefully your spring semester is off to a good start.
Thanks for having me, by the way. I approve of what you're doing.
I appreciate that. Well, this is a crazy proposal when you first heard it, right? It's like playing games and talking science, but it ends up being a lot of fun. I think everyone that's done it is willing to do it again. So hopefully you're having a good time.
Anyone done it twice?
Bronco, 12 months. That is absolutely insane. It's a former student of mine, actually, who will be applying for grad school, I think, next cycle, probably, if not this cycle.
Good luck to him.
Actually, you might have applied already. You might have heard back. So that's fun. Cuddle puppy. What? A cop got rammed and decided to be your passenger? Happened?
It possibly did. I think people are probably paying attention to this more than I am.
No worries.
I didn't see that happen.
So Bronco applied to 14 schools. Did you apply to FSU? I mean, you could as a safety. Rob and I are in the admissions committee. We'd love to see your application. But I'm pretty confident you'll get into several schools that you apply to. No, unfortunately, I should have. You can still apply. Submit your application, and it'll get processed. It doesn't get priority decision, but most schools, those deadlines are a little bit soft. You can submit after the deadline, so I wouldn't lose sleep about that necessarily. All right, let's comment up here. Distant atoms. I'm so glad I'm in your group theory class. I mean, we'll see. So I spend my first week not talking about any science of any kind, mostly talking about the syllabus. So we'll see how you feel when we actually get into the science. But I appreciate you being in class. So I'm teaching a graduate class this semester, group theory and inorganic spectroscopy. It's the first time I'm teaching a grad class in 3 years, and it is only 13 students. So I've never taught a class with less than 27 students. So this is like a big group meeting for me. So that's kind of interesting.
I'd never taught a class with more than 27 until this year.
Yeah.
So graduate classes are typically small, though.
Yeah. Well, the first few years I came in, they did like these module classes where it was like everyone should take certain classes.
Yeah.
And so I ended up with at least 27 graduate students the first couple of years. And then it obviously went down when we went more specialized.
Yeah.
I applied for 420 schools for the memes. Worth it. I'm sure the application fees were about over $1,000 for that, but so it goes.
Oh.
Can I? Yeah, Bronco, send me an email when you apply to FSU Chemistry, and I'll see what I can do in terms of... I mean, we're still accepting applications. It's basically, I mean, even if there's an application deadline, if you submit after that, it's going to take time for letters to come in, and people will still keep processing your applications. Not just us, but other schools as well. Last class I took with over 27 students was like an intro class in an auditorium. Yeah, that's exactly what I teach. I teach general chemistry 2, which is typically going to be 250 to 330 students. So you're analytical, which one are you?
One.
Analytical 1.
Yeah, quantitative analysis.
So that's typically 60 to 80 or something like that?
Yeah, I was expecting that. So it's up to, I think the number's 85, or maybe 88.
No.
So a little larger, I guess.
How was your mask wearing in class?
The majority wore a mask. I'd say a sizable number didn't. Yeah.
Man, I should look up one of the reviews I got from last semester. So in Gen Chem 1, I ranted about mask wearing a bunch. Just because, I mean, yeah, it's a class of 330 students. Turns out it mattered.
Yeah.
But one of the comments was, it was something along the lines of, he was a bit unprofessional.
Because of the mask wearing statements.
He literally came to class and said something along the lines of, if you're not wearing a mask, you're part of the problem. The Florida won a lawsuit to not require students to wear masks. I didn't come to class to be political. I came here to learn about science. And then it was something along the lines of, with that said, I still wore a mask and he's a great professor. So it was a mixed review, to say the least.
Okay, so did you have... That suggests that if somebody was against wearing masks who wore masks, you probably had a high proportion who wore masks.
So it started out at about 60%, and then after I ranted a bit just about, transmission dynamics, and even if it drops, transmission rate by 5%, it's still an exponential, right? It's a propagating thing. It went up to about 90% or so mask wearing, and then slowly tapered off over the semester, and then I ranted again. So...
I didn't rant. I just gently suggested and allowed them to make their own choices.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's fair. It's one of those things. Caring about public health is political. Well, that's a joke I made today in class with the syllabus day. I was like, I'm about to get really unprofessional and political here, but wear a mask. Like, that's the thing. And the other thing is, like, when they go in for surgery, do they look at the surgeon and they're like, whoa, let's not get all political. Take off your mask when you're doing surgery, because that's absolutely absurd. But anyway, this is on YouTube, so I won't rant too much because it might come back to haunt me. Oh, man.
I think in general, I see people back home more willing to wear masks.
So in, like, Asian cultures, China and Japan, it is common practice pre-COVID. If you're not feeling well, wear a mask. If you're on the subway, wear a mask. And it's just accepted. And their transmission rates have been really, really low.
Right.
It's just culturally accepted.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
There's other reasons for the low transmission.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably more political.
The scientific evidence supports wearing masks. Anyway, everything is fine. Appropriate name wants to know, how big do you guys think the COVID spike will be this semester?
Good question. I think... I'd say average cases will be over 1 million a day, and I don't think we'll get too much higher. I think positivity rates are about 20%, so it's only as good as how many you test in terms of what that data really means.
Yeah.
But it looks like... I don't want to make any statements that basically suggests we know things that we don't know yet. But it looks like if you get it, you're not going to get the same variant again. Or, so potentially there's reason to believe that we will see a spike and it will stop at some point, and the rate of increase suggests the rate of decrease is probably going to be quite similar, as has happened on the previous 3 waves. You see a sharp increase. It doesn't linger at those high numbers for a while. It decreases fairly quickly afterwards also.
So I haven't had a virologist on yet. I'm trying to get
you
one.
Should, yeah, you should get someone who knows about it rather than me giving my my observation of the data rather than the actual science behind it.
So I heard a statement along the lines of something like there's a relationship between like transmission rate and, I don't know, not toxicity, but like the magnitude of the impact of the virus. You don't get both of them high, you get one or the other.
Yeah.
So typically viruses that transmit faster are less, deadly, less hospitalizations and things like that. And that's what you actually want to happen. And so Omicron might actually be that, but I don't think we know that yet, unfortunately. Right. Also get a memologist. I'll get right on that. If you have one, feel free to suggest your memologist in chat. There are people that study memes, study internet propagation of information. It was Richard Dawkins that originally coined meme. As an evolutionary biologist that studied the idea of what a meme is. So, yeah.
Is it he coined a term? I didn't know this. Okay.
I think it was Dawkins. Yeah, he was the first one to use meme.
Okay.
I don't remember which one of his books it was, but I'm almost 100% positive it was him. Cuddle Puppy, the memologist. I mean, if you want to join me in 2 weeks and talk about memes, let's do it. We'll see if I get a guest lined up. All right. But the COVID spike, I don't know if you guys have been watching the graph, particularly in Florida, but it's like an exponential curve. And what blows my mind is if you look at the previous 3, like the humps that we have in our cases, the deaths lag about a month behind. And so you have about 2 weeks when the hospital's saturated, and then a month later when the deaths actually peak. And I mean, we're coming up on that now. Like now is the hospitalizations, and then the death peak will be in 2 weeks. I'll be curious to see if it still responds as highly, because vaccinations plus less deadly strain, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's quite a side hustle. I like it. A lot of congressional river trolls have gotten banned for lying about COVID, rightfully so. But that is an insult to river trolls, I agree. But yeah, we'll see. So I got an email. So I have 13 students in my class, and I got an email from 3 or 4 of them saying they were either flights delayed or they actually had COVID and couldn't come to class the first day. So we decided to go online for the first week of class, because that's 30% of the students can't show up.
Yeah. So yeah, I had around 25% on Zoom.
Oh, so you did Zoom, you co-streamed class plus Zoom?
Well, I think, yeah, we have to really. Well, we don't have to, but like, it would be unfair not to.
Yeah. Well, what's frustrating is we're expected to do that with no additional resources to make that happen. So we're asked to do an additional thing for class that we don't have help to actually do. But that's a separate rant. That was really interesting. My student evals, this is the first time I've seen, like, it'd be really nice if you recorded, if you co-zoomed. Like now it's an expectation rather than just, a nice thing that someone might do on the side. It's become the standard to this generation of kids. So
yeah, I think it would have benefited me at undergraduate level. I would certainly like it.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem doing it as long as people don't expect too much.
They don't. As long as they don't expect flashy edits and a well-cut video.
Yeah, like what I mean by that statement is I still cater to the people in the classroom more than I do by Zoom. So if, as happened today, like the people in the classroom got a better experience than the people on Zoom did.
I mean, it's really hard to do both. Getting audio and video quality, and yeah, it's non-trivial. Most of the rooms aren't set up. In the UK, are games like this popular?
Driver?
Or Grand Theft Auto?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the gaming industry is the same games in every country, pretty much. I don't... You probably know more than me, but, like, there's indie games in maybe Asian countries that have a bespoke following there, but like Grand Theft Auto is global, Call of Duty is global. Oops, oh dear.
Yeah. What's fun about that is every major country in the world has all these games, including Grand Theft Auto and all these that supposedly cause violence, and yet they don't have school shootings. So, what's actually causing violence in America? It is not video games.
No comment.
No comment. That's fair. Ooh, what's the most memorable teaching experience you both ever had? So your teaching career is relatively short. You've been in how many classes?
It's nothing being too outrageous. I think nothing outrageous at all. I think there's certainly no lecture that sticks out. I think mistakes sometimes happen. I think the very first exam I gave my analytical, after grading, I just decided that one question was phrased in a way that it was ambiguous, and so I deleted that question after the exam for a couple of reasons. One is no one got it right, and also so it was, I guess that's the main reason. Nobody actually got it right, but then nobody got it right because it was phrased badly, and that was my mistake.
Yeah.
However, people had spent time trying to work out what I meant and do that question. So
and it cost them on the rest of the test.
Yeah, I tried. Like, I think how the scores ended up and the amount of points, it basically meant no one's grade changed because of it. But that's the only. So because that was my first exam, I basically made sure after that just to have double checks, triple checks for exam questions, just so that it couldn't be interpreted in a way that I didn't want it to be interpreted.
That first test is hard.
Yeah.
It is very hard. And then this is for anyone that's going to go into academia or teach. Like, most of us that get this job are pretty exceptional in terms of, GPA, and every hurdle along the way, we were, pretty good in every class we've done, and so on and so forth. And so our lens for viewing what a student is capable of or what a knowledge set is kind of, it's based on us. And it's a very, survivor bias in terms of what the student might be capable or what you think a fair question is.
And to add to that, it's reinforced because TAs are in the same position, like the PhD level, they know this stuff, they've done the material before, so they kind of have a similar bias.
Yep. Yeah. That's why I make my TAs guess what the test average is going to be.
Okay.
and the first time they do it, they're terrible, but then they get better after a while because they look at it, and I always ask them, but how hard do you think this will be? And they'll be like, well, these are pretty easy. Like,
oh dear.
You don't know. Yeah, DC chemist. I knew it. I apologize. That's your Carl Sagan euphoria moment when you finally realize none of us know what we're doing. And memorable teaching moments. I mean, there's positives and there's negatives.
Yeah, I guess I went straight to a negative one. I think positives, I think usually because I think I'm better on a small group level than a large group, and I think office hours have been quite productive for me, and it's really nice to see someone who didn't follow a lecture come to office hours and they get it afterwards. That's really cool.
Yeah, those light bulb moments.
Yeah.
Where just over the head, like, eyes get big, they get it, it clicks.
Yeah.
Those are really satisfying. I could definitely agree with those. Man, there's some crazy ones though too. It's like the part I hate most, especially the big class of 300 something people, is at the end of the semester they get their final scores, they get their final grade, and it's like, is there anything you can do to bump my grade? And I'm not accusing them of lying, but it's like it's my parents got divorced, or somebody died, or I had a trouble with this, or I got divorced, or something happened during the semester to make their lives really, really hard. And I really feel for them. I empathize for them. That is the most painful week of every single semester for me, because I have to reply with, I have to stick to the syllabus. I can't treat you any differently. I can't do anything that's outside of the metrics, because how do I weigh things like that? how much is a divorce worth versus a death in the family or a death of an animal? Like, I can't.
It's hard.
It's so painful, and I do feel for them. But what? Yeah.
I think I'd agree with that you get to know students better than you expect you would.
Yep.
You kind of maybe anticipate people coming to class, you get to know them a bit, you certainly know their names, you kind of get to know their interests, but you really know them, especially on where students that come to you with issues. And then it's your job to identify also people that don't come to you with issues, so you make sure everyone gets the fair treatment.
And then that's one of the reasons I moved to multiple choice tests, is there is subjectivity in grading. And I know there is, like, even in my own and personal biases, when I see a name, when I see a handwriting, it impacts how you do things or how you feel about something.
Yeah.
And so I love the objectivity of multiple choice tests. It takes it out of my hands entirely. The points are what the points are. The answers are what the answers are.
Right.
That's, again, we went to a negative one. And this is why it's so easy to get cynical in teaching, is because you remember those very vividly. Like those very negative outcomes or those, things you didn't expect, they definitely stick with you. Mm-hmm. And then
that's the reason I picked that negative one, because essentially it was my mistake, and that felt bad.
No, it does. Because you're like, I understand your future's important.
Yeah.
When has a student inspired you and how?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a really fun one.
I think it happens quite frequently, to be honest. Like once you ask someone's opinion on things, not just an answer where you're expecting a scientific result or just like a yes or no answer, I think you just get to know how people think, and it's just nice to take on board what they say. I was mostly I mostly get inspired in the teaching, at least after the lecture, when people come to you and they're like, they ask a really good question that it would have been nice if they'd asked in front of the class. And it's like, wow, that's cool. Like they have an idea of what to do with the piece, the equipment or experiment you're suggesting. That probably happens more frequently with graduate students, because they're coming up with their own ideas and stuff as they go along. Yeah. But I think it kind of sticks you more when you're not expecting something, and it's like, wow, that's a good idea. So it happens every day, I'd say.
Yeah, my favorite moments are typically with my graduate students, because there's a threshold in the third or fourth year where they start to transition from being a student to being a colleague. Mm-hmm. And like that moment when a student tells you you're wrong and like backs it up and shows you you're wrong, it's like, yep, I can't argue with that. You have crossed a threshold.
Oh dear.
Like at some point I thought about like gamifying graduate school, like putting achievements along the way, and you get points for achievements, like World of Warcraft style. And that would be one of those, like that threshold when you challenge me, and it'd be
points for yourself, not for the students.
Yeah, for the students, not cool. Narcissistic Ken's adding to his scoreboard. No, it's for students. And that like is a major milestone, right? It's like the Ken is dumb threshold or something. I don't know what you'd call it, but those are moments. I don't know if I'd call them inspiring, but those are the most satisfying as a mentor.
Yeah.
No points, candy, please. Just a jar of candy and dole that out every time they... I like it. The candy incentive. Do well in grad school because of candy. All right. So, anyone just joining us, Ask a Scientist Gaming, I guess today is Rob Lazenby. We were playing Driver. We have mediocre gameplay with expert level science.
Mediocre?
I mean,
it is.
It's not bad.
There we go.
You're not doing cheats, though. I mean, you only did it for one, and the rest has been fine. But anyway, Rob is happy to talk anything electrochemistry, biosensors, electroanalytics, anything you guys want to ask. Throw those questions in chat, because we are happy to answer them. If I missed one along the way, we're happy to answer them. Rude. This is a pro gamer. You get paid to video game.
That would be cool. I haven't played this game literally in 20 years.
Yeah.
And also, using the wrong controller.
No, that's true.
And also, I prepared for Warzone.
Sorry, Rob.
I'm not going to keep saying that.
Next time. You want to come back in 2 weeks? We could try again.
Maybe longer than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I can come back if we have it running.
Yeah, we'll test it next time. I mean,
Sure.
You live close enough. We could do one night where we actually get it set up.
Yeah.
We should play Banjo-Kazooie. That'd be a fun one. What else do I have for PlayStation? I don't even remember.
Are we changing games?
No, I have a few PlayStation games. So Ryan Baumbach played Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I have Eon Flux, Alone in the Dark, Crash Bandicoot.
I've heard of Alone in the Dark. Is Eon Flux anything special about it?
No, it's not a particularly good game.
Okay.
I think it was...
Crash Bandicoot, I know.
So we could do Crash. We can also do any Nintendo game if you want to switch. We have Super Nintendo, Nintendo, Sega, all of it.
Yeah, I never really played much Nintendo.
Because you had in your bio, you had Atari 2600, right? That was the first.
Yeah, I had to look it up. I had
Yeah.
to work because that was a while ago.
So you went Atari 2600,
Yeah.
then a Commodore computer.
That's right, yeah, so that was the Amiga.
Yeah.
And that was a good machine. That was like... I don't know the average age of our audience, but everyone will be familiar with Microsoft, right? Or Mac.
Yeah.
And maybe not know...
Apple.
Yeah, sorry, Apple. Yeah, and not know these early systems
Yeah.
in this mad flurry to control the market. And the Amiga was one of them. It didn't last long, but it had its own word processing system called Wordsworth,
That's fun.
named after William Wordsworth, the poet. And it came up, as you opened it came up with his poem about I wandered lonely as a cloud every time you loaded up the Wordsworth, which is Word.
That's awesome.
It was a copy of Microsoft Word, but it did everything you need to do, but it had these funky features like changing colors that didn't need to be changing on all the menus and stuff.
That's awesome. Over-designed.
Yeah.
Chemist, Nintendo don't. I'm 100% sure you are too young to know that actual reference. I don't know if you remember the Sega versus Super Nintendo warfare.
No.
There was one of the marketing campaigns by Sega Genesis when it was coming out. It was Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Okay.
And it was trying to convey that Nintendo was for kids and it was baby games, but Sega had like Mortal Kombat and blood and death and violence.
Okay.
So that was their marketing campaign.
Yeah.
I don't think it actually worked, but the line to remember from it is Sega does what Nintendo don't. So SNES is the best console ever. No arguments allowed. Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
Your answer is?
I think PS1. I think that it just gives PlayStation its heritage. It's the reason PlayStation's still here.
Yeah.
It had so many good games, like so many good games that are still classics or have led into big series.
Yeah.
And it didn't have any of the faffing around. So it had like a CD. It had memory cards, but technologically it was good. It had a DVD player. Right, or was that PS2? Maybe it didn't. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, I don't know.
No, I think maybe PS2 brought in the DVD player.
So the first Xbox could do DVDs.
I would
Maybe
imagine it probably
PlayStation
did.
1,
Yeah.
That was
but
the same time.
like it just had everything you needed. It was a good price. Well, probably quite expensive at the time.
What was crazy about the Xbox is you had to buy a separate controller to control the DVD player.
I didn't know
You couldn't
that.
do it with the actual like console controller. You had to have a remote control that had play in. Anyway,
Yeah.
separate rant. All right, so we've only done 2 of our predictions. We should throw another one up
do
right
it.
now. Which one do you want to
I should
do?
add to that last one because we were talking about the light bulbs. Have you seen? No one's asked for a factoid, but I did see on TikTok recently the reason these lights are turning purple. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Have you actually seen a
I'll
purple
request
light?
a factoid so you
Oh.
can drop the bomb right now.
Sure. Okay, you can request it. Yeah.
All right. Requested by Ask a Scientist Gaming, who has infinite standard.
I was going to give you it for
internet
free, you
units.
know.
No, I'll pay it. I have infinite points. Let's do it.
So you may have noticed, and it's particularly common in the Midwest states, a lot of streetlights are turning purple. Mm-hmm. And it's just a defect from a large batch from a single supplier.
Oh, really?
And they were installed about 5 years ago, and they're basically all changing. The LED is changing all at the same time. So after about 5 years, they changed due to this defect. they will be replaced. And when I first saw it, I just assumed, oh, the new streetlights are now purple. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But no, it's a mistake.
Purple.
Oh, I flipped the car. That's quite hard to do in this game, you know.
It's decomposing to higher energy emission.
Okay. Yeah,
which
you'll
is
know.
kinda
This will
weird.
be your expertise.
Yeah. So like lamps over time typically start to lose the blue and purple because those are the higher energy. Like OLED TVs, they'll lose the blues first and things like that, and LEDs as well.
Yeah.
But that's interesting that this particular defect causes it to lean purple over time.
Yeah, I've seen a handful in Tallahassee, but the TikTok basically showed a lot more in Midwest states.
Iodide vapor lamps, gotta love those. No, the sodium lamps. If you remember back when we were young, the parking garages that had the yellow hue everywhere.
Yeah,
everything looked
they're
yellow.
quite common back home, especially on motorways. It's
Yeah.
so much cheaper.
Yeah, they are, but their color clarity and color purity is just disgusting.
It is.
It makes everything look yellow. It has just sodium lines and nothing else. It's not broadband white light. It's
Yeah.
gross. But
The astronomers love them.
yeah, no, that makes sense.
Easy to filter out that wavelength.
Yeah. Pick specific wavelengths and draw those lines.
I think I'm going to take a toilet break, if that's
Yeah,
right.
sounds good.
Do you want to have a go at playing this? See if you can. Because I've been on this level for a while.
We should put on the infinite health and...
Yeah, let's do
anyway.
that. That'll be much easier.
All right. House lights look yellow and most offices look green in the worst way. Yeah, lighting is no joke. Like the long-term implications of every single day being under some source of light that's not good for you, it adds up. It damages your eyes. It messes with your sleep cycles. I say that as I stand in front of these, the lights in front of me. But yeah, lighting is no joke. There's studies about lighting affecting pregnancy cycles and sleep cycles and how it circulates to the child. It's crazy. Lighting matters is the short answer. All right, so Rob's on a break right now, but if you guys have questions, we're going to throw some predictions up because we have a bunch of them. We'll do those fairly quickly. But if you guys have questions, throw them in chat because Rob is happy to answer. Electrochemistry, we haven't even got into biosensors or nanosensors of any kind. Rob does really ultra-sensitive electrochemistry. So electrochemistry in the broadest sense is you put two wires in some kind of solution and see what happens. But it turns out you can do that very accurately. And you can use that to measure things like biological samples, like sensing a breathalyzer actually works through electrochemistry. You can use it to sense viruses or proteins or all sorts of different things. And so, yeah, we've kind of detoured from the focus of Rob's expertise. But if you guys want to go back to it, throw your questions in chat. Biosensor, multi-analyte detection, detecting multiple things at once rather than just one thing. Yeah, really fun stuff. So if you have those questions, throw them in chat. And Rob is more than happy to answer them. I know so little about Dr. Lazenby's field. I mean, that's one of the hard parts about Ask a Scientist Gaming is we bring on a different expert every time, and it's hard to know what to ask. So that's one of the reasons we really like the predictions and request a factoid, because it really sparks a dialogue in certain domains that you might not be familiar with.
Did we choose one, by the way? Or do you want me to choose one now?
No, you can choose one, and then I'm going to go make some more drinks if you're up for it.
How about number 4?
Number 4. All right, we're going to go with micro. Give me 1 second.
Did we put a cheat on also?
No, not yet. I will put
it might be more interesting if we cheat it.
No worries. See, the problem is you came in with too much pride, and then they talk shit when you put on cheat codes. But we are happy.
Well, I know I could do it. It'd just take a long time. And
let's go tools, cheats. Which ones do you want? Do you want
just
invincibility?
Yeah, I'm failing on damage.
Okay, invincibility is now on. All right, so we have several questions lined up. Cuddle Puppy wants to know.
Where do I see the questions, by the way?
You can see them here if
Okay.
you want. What have Marvel movies done right about your field? Feel free to answer nothing. There's a sufficient amount of Iron Man involved that you should have an answer for this. No? I'll let you think about it.
I know I have seen the movies. I'm trying to think if there is any electrochemistry in them, and if I'm thinking about it, like, is that Marvel? Like,
Yes.
that's just strength fight. Is there any science in that?
No.
Iron Man is...
So Hulk was gamma rays.
Yeah.
Iron Man created a power source that powers
Okay,
his
did he?
body.
Okay.
So he has bioelectrical powering. So
Okay.
I think he would be the closest.
So I don't actually know how Iron Man works.
That's the thing. No one does.
Okay.
He just does work.
So, yeah.
All right. Oh, the question is up. Sorry. Prediction. Smallest diameter pipette-based Ecamp probes. These are many words. It's basically how small can you measure something with electrochemistry? The answer is either less than 100 nanometers or greater.
I'll be a
than
bit more
100
specific,
nanometers.
actually. So there are different methods of measuring something electrochemically, and you...
So if there's
You
no
can
objection, I'm going to start
Yeah.
this one over again because we completely ignored explaining this. So
Sure.
everyone's going to get their points back. Delete it. Return
It's
points.
specifically pipette based. So what that means is, if you know what a pipette is, we usually make our pipettes out of glass. Most labs will have plastic pipette tips. That's the kind of shape that you can imagine in your mind's eye. If you're using a pipette, you're looking at about this millimeter scale, or certainly hundreds of microns. And then you can make them smaller, but we're asking about how the smallest. So I'd probably, if you're answering this question, I'd probably think about what the limitations are, what's stopping you from going really small. Because a pipette-based method needs to have solution in the pipette to work, and it needs to be electrically connected, and those two things become more challenging to do once you go smaller. So what's the limit, basically?
All right, the question is up. Smallest diameter pipette-based Ecamp probe. If I had to put this simply, you need a glass tube to put wires through. What is the smallest we can do that? Is it less than 100 nanometers or greater than 100 nanometers? How small can we measure things electrochemically? And this is one of your expertise. This is one of the areas.
And can I see the question? So yes. But for electrochemical probe, like for a scan probe microscope, because I think that question got cut down.
Yeah, it did. We only have 42 characters, yeah.
And I can talk afterwards a bit about scan probe microscopy to kind of
give
fill
context.
in those details.
Yeah.
I think we've given them enough information.
Iron Man heart equals LED. Well, I mean, not in the Marvel universe, but in the actual application, the logistics of giving Robert Downey Jr. a glowing chest, it is probably an LED. Anyway, smallest diameter pipette-based Ecamp probe, less than 100 nanometers, greater than 100 nanometers. How big is it? How accurately can we spatially measure on a microscopy electrochemistry experiment? So you should finish that, and I will give this answer and then go get us another drink.
I'll finish after this 54 seconds. I think we'll have to skip the mission if invincibility doesn't do the job.
Why is that?
Well, there'll not be time, because once you get to the end point, you've got to lose the cops.
I see.
My felony is full. So the only other way to do it would be to have the no felony cheat, and then it's just driving with invincibility and immunity.
Oh, cuddle puppy. Harsh. You can talk all day, every day about this question, and I will understand none of it. Ouch. We do our best, as much as we can. Did you change the order of the answers? I picked the right one both times. No, it should be the same order, so hopefully it's right. All right, Rob, what's the answer? The smallest diameter pipette-based Ecamp probe is...
So we gave this cutoff 100 nanometers, and it is less than 100 nanometers.
Less than 100 nanometers. That is tiny.
It is very
Like
small.
a human hair is what, 10 to 100 microns?
Yeah, I usually quote around 60.
Okay.
It depends on where you come from, but around 60 or 70 microns. I think in my undergraduate, I think I measured my hair in the lab.
You did?
Yeah.
Just to
It's
see.
around 65.
That's awesome.
When you have a microscope, it's just fun to put stuff in it, right?
Oh, Grand
I
Alchemist.
actually also did...
Redeem, take a drink.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Grand
This
Alchemist,
is all I have
cheers.
left.
Hopefully you have a drink in hand. Thank you for joining us, Ask a Scientist Gaming. We appreciate the questions and the attendance. And yes, we are happy to spend internet points on drinking. All right, so you're going to explain this. I'm going to get more drinks.
Yeah, I'll also talk about hair as well, because another thing, have you used the Fib SEM?
No, I have not.
So I used one of those quite a lot in my PhD. I wrote my name in my hair using fib.
Just for
This
fun.
focused ion
so,
beam.
So you have that image still?
Yeah,
That's awesome. You should use that on your webpage.
I should.
Lazenby group in hair.
Oh, I need to use the MagLab fib to do that.
That's awesome.
But the question was about this pipette-based method. So, and the literature searching I've done, I've found images that have been made of around 40 nanometer probes, and there's probes that have been successfully pulled and filled that are smaller than that. So what this probe is you can start with a glass capillary, and a glass capillary will have quite a large inner diameter. It's just a tube of glass. If you pull that, so heat it and pull it, you can make the dimensions a lot smaller, and so you can make these pipettes very small, so even less than 10 nanometers. The challenge becomes filling them with a solution, and around 100 nanometers and less you can do that quite well, unless you go down to these tens of nanometers, and then it becomes a little more tricky without specialized methodologies. But quite routinely you can pull, fill and use a 100 nanometer pipette. And I wanted to specify pipette as well because electrochemistry can go a lot smaller than that. You can use ion channels, which are nanometer level. They work on the same level, so that's a biological membrane protein. And you can also use nano electrodes, or very small electrodes. I'm going to do this mission, I think. I need to get behind there though. And nano electrodes, I don't know how to get there. Do I go in the garage? So nano electrodes can be made incredibly small, like 1 or 2 nanometers. Oh, it's in the garage. I should have known. So nano electrodes should be made incredibly small. The limitation with those is the noise levels become larger, so you need specialized instrumentation in order to measure any sensible currents from those, like femtoamp or picamp currents. So I worked with those in my PhD also. I tried to stick to hundreds of nanometers simply because they last longer, they're more easy to use. But I could pull and go to the fib instrument and make them and characterize them to be way less than 100 nanometers.
Cuddle puppy. Dr. Lazenby is the calmest gamer of all time. Well, you missed out on him playing Warzone.
We would need a swear filter, I'd imagine.
Oh no, we're an 18+ stream. You can swear all you want.
18+.
So, do you really rage? You rage at Call of Duty?
It depends. I think so. I don't know. Have you played it?
I've played not Warzone, but I've played Call of Duty before.
So if you kill someone, they get 1 second audio clip of what you're saying, and you get 1 second audio clip of them. So you hear a lot as well as saying a lot.
Oh.
It works really well. It's that 1 second.
Are you able to turn that off for the sake of streaming?
Oh, sure.
Okay. So Halo 2 was the first online Halo version where you actually had Xbox Live and you could communicate.
Yeah.
And they had a chat before the game, chat after the game, plus some proximity detection where you could hear people near you. It is the most toxic environment you can imagine.
I think it's good. Warzone's good natured, to be honest.
Is it?
Yeah.
Generally good group?
I think you can see stuff. I've seen videos. It's usually these pro players in sweaty basements that kind of have you've probably seen this video. So it's just like a big room with a lot of players. One side is one team, one side is the other team, and things can get heated. So I just did that mission thanks to cheats.
All right, congratulations.
But not only one cheat, not the felony cheat.
No worries.
So and apart from that, you can communicate with your squad.
How's your internet connection? Like at your house, is it
I
reasonably good?
upgraded based on your advice.
Oh, you did the fiber optic?
Yeah, I did.
You did Metro or
But
Metronet?
you told me. I called the next day. They came the same day and got up and running. And it's straight to the router. It's like 950 megabytes a second.
Oh, wow.
The PS3, or PS4, the location, it goes down to about 350.
Okay. But that's still 10 times better than what you had before.
Yeah.
So you like it, though. That's awesome. So
It's good. I think in the past I've had a few issues with Zoom and stuff going down, so it was worth it.
Yeah.
It's the same price. If anyone's in Tallahassee, they should upgrade.
Yeah, we have somebody coming out tomorrow to set it up.
Oh, I thought you had it already.
No, we didn't. It was something we were trying to schedule, and it was like for those of you not familiar, if you're in Tallahassee, the Xfinity was the main go-to internet company that was just coaxial cable and it's raised above ground. And then Metronet came in, and they're a fiber optic company. And so they're offering like 900 megabytes per second or 1 gig internet.
They sell it as a gig. That's the most expensive package. I think it just goes down $10 if you want to do, or $10 cheap if you want to do 500.
Yeah.
And that's all. That's really fast.
But
so 500 megabytes per second.
And their starting prices for that is something like $75 a month. So it's cheaper than Xfinity.
Right.
If you're a student, it's even cheaper. We are not sponsored by Metronet, by the way, but we will advocate for fiber optic internet where you actually get speeds, because the upload is also
it's
a gig. It's crazy.
And that surprised me because that's
megabits.
And actually the engineer was pretty cool. He showed me what he was doing. So they show you that if you've seen a fiber optic cable, you know the dimensions are incredibly small, so they have to wire a cable up. But then they have to fuse it, so they have to cut it and fuse it, and you can actually see that all with their infrared camera.
That's awesome.
So it laser cuts it. Oh dear. It laser cuts it, and you can see all that in real time in infrared. And if it's not like aligned properly, they'll just it'll tell you.
I mean, so latency gaming, you actually notice the difference?
I had 100 megabits per second anyway, so not really. I think I do notice when I play with my friends back home that they're like, oh, it's still loading, and mine's up and running.
That was one of the things, like, I will probably never play Halo on stream, at least not multiplayer, because I rage so much, because you can tell that the person you're playing against sees something different than you do.
Right.
They see it faster, they get decisions faster, and you think you're shooting them, but the actual source thinks it's different, and it just infuriating.
And I got 2 millisecond ping as well, which is pretty good. That's basically the limit, if you know about those.
Yeah, so mine here is probably something like 50 milliseconds, which is, I think, fairly normal for coaxial. Lower ping Fortnite, we all know that's why he has fiber optic. 2 milliseconds is insane. That means you're rate limited by your monitor and not your internet connection. That's amazing.
I would say it's useful for work, right, as well. Like, especially if you're teaching by Zoom or anything that's important, you need to...
Well, streaming, we could bump up our resolution. It's probably good enough already for most of the games we play, but that upload is amazing. And that's crazy. So, 10 o'clock tomorrow, when we come back and stream in a couple weeks, you guys are going to find Ask a Scientist Gaming has upgraded to fiber optic internet, which is a hell of a lot faster than what we have now, and also cheaper, which is absolutely insane. So I'm glad that worked. Do you tell a difference with, like, streaming movies or anything like that?
I haven't watched any since I got it.
Yeah. No, I look forward to playing Halo Online. So I bought 2 games over break. One is Halo Infinite, Infinity, which is the new one. And then the other one I got is It Takes Two. You heard about this one?
No.
It's like won a whole bunch of major awards. It's very similar to Portal in that it's a 2-player like problem solving game.
Okay.
So you have to work together. So I got it so Debbie and I can play together because we played Portal 2 together.
Yeah.
But it has all sorts of really fun mechanics where you have to like cooperatively use certain different tools, or you have to solve a puzzle where one person does one thing and the other one does the other. Anyone that has someone they can play games with, this game is either... For us, it's either, marriage glue or divorce fuel, depending on how seriously you take video games and your significant other, but it's a lot of fun. So I'd recommend It Takes Two for anyone that's interested. It's called It Takes Two. And you should, even if you're not gonna... It Takes Two. So I'll give you guys a game. So here's a gameplay trailer that absolutely summarizes. It's an amazing game. The storyline is weird as hell. It's a lot of fun. Anyone that interested in risking their marriage, if you don't take the game too seriously and or your significant other's good, it's probably good for your relationship. If you take games very seriously and rage quit, maybe not a good idea. But yeah, there's a trailer for the game. Save that for after the stream. You can watch, learn about It Takes Two. It's a really fun, beautiful game. It's won a lot of awards this year. It's absolutely amazing. Maybe I'll do that in 2 weeks if I don't have a guest because of COVID. Might come on and see if my wife will join me and play a little bit of It Takes Two. We'll ask the Hansons arbitrary questions. All right, we should do another prediction because it's 10 o'clock. What do you want to do?
Let's do... yeah, that one.
That's a fun one.
Yeah.
I didn't know the answer to this one. I'm always excited when I learn something new. You'll notice I converted your metric into American units. It's sad we have to do that. All right, we're going to put up another prediction. Standard internet units. It's time to spend them. Or bet them, or guess on which one this is. So the question is, what is the velocity of an electron moving along a wire? So if you apply a voltage across a wire, current is going to flow. How fast are those electrons moving? Is it greater than 300 meters per second or less than 300 meters per second? And there's the miles per hour conversion for you that wanted it freedom units or whatever we use in America, empirical. So UK, what would you guys typically use? Metric for most things, and then some?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So metric most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to like a supermarket, you'll since Brexit, I think they actually brought a lot of imperial units back.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a few things like
They went
the blue
backwards.
passport. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It pleased a certain demographic.
I mean, I guess the 51% demographic, presumably. Anyway, what's the velocity of electron moving along the wire?
Probably a smaller percentage of that, but like.
Yeah. Is it faster than 670 miles per hour or slower than 670 miles per hour? Throw your guesses in there now. How fast are electrons moving in a wire? Suppose we don't have to specify what kind of wire. It's a conductive wire.
As long as there's an electric field across it.
Yeah. Electrons move at a certain speed. What is that speed? Greater than 300 meters per second, less than 300 meters per second. Sorry, I apologize. All right. Yeah, we got to get through a bunch of these predictions. This sounds like a trick question. We try our best not to do trick questions. We like to do ones that are interesting and inspire a dialogue, but it always surprises us when we write test questions how bad we are at writing them, so you'll have to let us know after the answer comes out. All right, last seconds. All right, you want to see the breakdown?
Sure.
So most guessed less than 300 meters per second. You greater.
It's not giving me an arrow. I think I've messed up the game. Oh, there we go.
You broke the game. It's not the first game we broke tonight. All right. So, Rob, the answer is?
It's slow. So it is less than 300 meters a second.
So what's the actual speed?
I think it's 1 millimeter per second.
1 millimeter per second.
And so we know how communications work. We know how copper cables work. We know that it's fast, right? But what is actually happening is you're propagating waves along those wires through the electrons, but the electrons themselves are moving very slowly. They're not moving, they are moving just incredibly slowly. So even a lot slower than 300 meters a second.
Following 60C got this right. I feel like the wave and the electrons are static. Yeah, no, they actually knew.
Yeah, so the other thing is to say they're not static, so they do move still. I'm stuck, I think. I can.
Should we turn off the damage? This is the Austin Powers scene in the hallway.
Exactly.
What's fun is the car still gets damaged, but you don't take damage on the scale.
Yeah.
Have you tried to smash the car as far as it'll go?
No. You should probably take this cheat off on my next attempt.
That's fair. Is this assuming AC or DC current? Uh,
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So we're talking about an electric field, so
it's DC.
it doesn't matter. Because, yeah, it doesn't matter.
All right. Isn't that a trick question, though? Because they are oscillating, which is moving, which is movement. They're oscillating faster.
I'm not sure I understand.
I'm assuming that's AC related, because it's
Oh.
oscillating back and forth.
So the wave, so the wave will still be a different speed to the speed of electron.
So what's fun about this question as related to my field, so we do time-resolved measurements where we basically do a flash of light and then we try to measure light off as fast as possible, or we try to see color change as fast as possible. There's a threshold where the length of your wire matters, right? When you're trying to measure things on sub-picosecond, you basically can't have a source and a detector communicate fast enough to resolve that time scale. So you basically need to use the same source for the excitation and then the same source for the detection, because you need to basically control it with the length of distance the light travels, which is kind of crazy. I have a lecture on transient absorption spectroscopy that surprisingly popular on YouTube. It has something like 3,600 views already, which is, for a science video, I'll take it. But yeah, we go into
your video?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's just one of my lectures that I gave to a guest, Hanwei Gao physics class. I gave a guest lecture and recorded it and posted it. But yeah, when you get to really fast timescale measurements, the length of your wire matters, so you can't separate your source and detector because it can't communicate fast enough. And it's because of this. I mean, even the wave propagating becomes an issue. It's just too slow to communicate. So yeah, it's this AC or DC current. Yeah, that's fair. Fullerene 60C, way to go on the, it's not, I mean, we draw current as electrons flowing, but really it's a...
You can turn the cheat off now.
All right, you're good?
Yeah. I was still driving carefully, like it was on.
All right.
So I would put that down. I would say I would have got that without the cheat.
All right, we should do another one quick. Which one?
Yeah. How about number 6? Because that's kind of a Florida-ish one.
All right, we got a Florida factoid here. Unrelated to electrochemistry as far as I can tell, but Rob will enlighten us at the end of this.
Actually, it's not. No, that was like, I saw, it's not electrochemistry. It's just a kind of interest. We can do number 2 or 3 if you want.
Oh no, we're doing this one. We got this. All right. It's a biology question. Which is an older species, the horseshoe crab or an alligator? Which one has a longer, I don't know, not lifespan, but longer existence? Is it alligators or is it horseshoe crabs?
Yeah, there is no link to electrochemistry. I just kind of, I've always been somewhat interested in biology and evolution and this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, and these timescales are really interesting to think about. So geologic timescales are absolutely breathtaking. Mm-hmm. I think sharks are older than both of these, but between these two, which is the older species? Do you know
sharks in Florida?
Sharks are older than trees.
I actually picked this because the only reason I picked this question because it's Florida. So like, there's a million alligators in Florida.
Oh, Cuddle Puppy found a loophole. All species are 6,000 years old. Checkmate, atheists.
Do you want to take that?
No, I'm not going to touch that at all.
Oh, sorry.
Over that
Drifting.
way. Yep. You're going out of the green.
Ken lives in a sloped house. It's my really chairs.
And it's the windows open, so the wind is blowing.
I'm being blown across the room.
All right, you have about 1 minute. Which is the older species? Electroanalytical chemist wants to know which is the older species, the alligator or the horseshoe crab. Texas Space Agency, thank you for the raid. It's always a pleasure, Texas. I hope your stream went well. What were you guys up to tonight?
Is that a real Texas Space Agency? Is that an undergrad posing as a Texas Space Agency?
That's another streamer who's actually a regular of our stream. Texas, welcome back. It's always a pleasure to see you. Remember the Alamo? Rob remembers it dearly from his days in the UK. I don't know if you're familiar with Remember the Alamo in Texas. No. It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you were blacksmithing. That's fun. So Rob, I don't know if you're familiar, but Twitch is more than just video games. There's a lot of like technical skills and arts and crafts and things.
I actually didn't know. I thought it was only video games.
No, so Texas, there's a lot of music, but Texas Space Agency was doing some blacksmithing and making coat hooks that look like feathers. That's awesome. That is really awesome.
Do they function as coat hooks?
I do not know. We could watch the VOD afterwards. Texas Space Agency. Gonna try to give you a shout out here.
If people wonder why I go down all the time, it's just the button's slightly off, so it's easier to go down and up.
I don't think anyone's going to judge. Texas Space Agency. There we go. Unmute that. You guys should check out Texas Space Agency stream, especially if you want to learn about blacksmithing, which is pretty awesome. I do love watching crafting on Twitch. It's everything from like cutting gems, cutting jewels live on stream, soldering, electrical wiring, computer engineering, blacksmithing, which is pretty awesome. Hot tub goats, I guess. That's awesome.
Do you watch TikTok? They do have the same kind of stuff. They have a lot of science stuff, and they have basically it's for people with shorter attention span. So you can watch like a 30-second blacksmithing video, probably get as much out. Not insulting blacksmiths, but like you can condense material into a very short video.
Yeah, that's right. Texas Space Agency, a geographer, or in the geography department, blacksmithing for fun, which is pretty fun. I can teach you how to map if you have a long attention span. That's pretty fun. Yeah, one thing I really like about crafting, and science is harsh this way, is that we never finish anything in science. We never complete it. There's always one more question. There's always one more thing to learn. But like when you're doing a craft, your project is done. And I'm sure there's things that haunt you, but I really appreciate like a finished product that you can give away or sell. All right, which is the older species? Is it alligator or horseshoe crab? What is the answer?
So what did the guys say online?
So we have a 75% horseshoe crab versus 25% alligator.
That's right. Yeah.
So majority wins again.
Yeah.
Horseshoe crab is older than the alligator.
So you can actually, if you're in Tallahassee, you can go and see horseshoe crabs. There's a nesting area kind of southish from here at, I've forgotten the name. Do you know the name? Do you know the name of the closest beach to Tallahassee?
Springs?
A little bit. So it's on the coast.
That's St. George. Which one is that?
Closer than that. There's a little wildlife refuge area that has a nesting area for horseshoe crabs, and also there's an aquarium in the small town
St. Mark's. Is that
Panacea. West of St. Mark's.
Texas, thank you for stopping by. I'll live in your shadow. Right. Oh man, brutal though. You have to set up your stream for a blacksmithing shop, which I imagine lighting and camera and sound and all that is pretty much a nightmare. We struggled here tonight because we couldn't get Rob's PlayStation 4 hooked up, and that was the perils we had to deal with here. But trying to do that with blacksmithing is pretty crazy.
So I would recommend anyone who's in Tallahassee to go to that aquarium, because it's just a little. It's not like the Georgia aquarium or like a real aquarium, but you can touch all the animals, which is pretty cool. So you can pick up horseshoe crabs and that kind of thing. It's like you know the kind of thing, right? It's
I know.
Bathtubs filled with moldy water with no rules.
Bald Point State Park?
Yeah, that's the state park. Yeah, that's the one.
So it's a beach in Bald Point State Park?
Correct.
Okay. And that's fairly close to here.
Yeah, they have a nesting area for horseshoe crabs.
By the way, can you reintroduce your guest tonight? No, I should have. So anyone that's joining us from the raid, my guest today is Rob Lazenby. He's an electroanalytical chemist, which means he uses electrical current and voltage to measure things in solution, typically biological relevant samples. So,
oh wait, I'm still going.
So molecules give different signals depending on the nature and the structure of them, and you can measure those different signals with electrochemistry. So the current that's generated or the voltage that's applied, and he uses that to determine structures and make biosensors, where you can actually sense biological materials. And he does this on a very, very small scale, which we learned today is less than 100 nanometers. So really high resolution. And he's also playing Drive, which is one from primary school.
Yeah, this is Driver, 1999. They had made Driver 2 actually, which is also a better game, but you still couldn't get out your car.
And no worries.
That's if anyone's looking at it thinking it looks like an old GTA, then it is more focused on the driving. Yeah, the alligator I couldn't get, and I had to look. I knew these horseshoe crabs were basically they're described as this living fossil, and having seen them up close is pretty cool. You can actually, if you go to that beach, there's dead shells all over the beach, which look pretty nice to take home as a souvenir. But the alligator, like everyone thinks of it also as an old species, but it looks like the modern alligator's around 85 million, and the first alligator's around 165 million. I had to look up those numbers, obviously, but
yeah. And
I did want to put a Florida question.
And a horseshoe crab is 445 million.
Yeah, so before Florida.
I looked up sharks too, and it's something like 450 million.
Yeah.
Like it was breathtaking for me when they said sharks are older than trees, which you just don't think on that scale, but that's pretty amazing. Chemist has an important point. It's called driver, not pedestrian. So that's why you don't get out of the car.
Yeah.
It's in the name. That's fair. Good thing they named horses since they wear horseshoes, which were named after the much older species horseshoe crabs. No, it's a good point. The chronology on naming does not necessarily represent the biological the lineage. That's awesome. All right, 10:20. We should do one more prediction.
Yep.
Which one of the two do you want to do?
We can do number 2, and then I can just talk about number 3 at another point.
All right, that sounds good. All right, we're going to do a prediction because we're about 10 minutes away from NARC. I didn't warn Rob that he's playing NARC tonight. I probably should have, but so it goes. We'll go on to the next game after this because NARC is the mainstay of our channel. But before that, we're going to do a prediction. If you're not following us, click the follow button, get your 300 standard internet units so you can do a prediction. You can decide which one of these two options are. For anyone just joining us from Texas Space Agency stream, we don't use our predictions for game-related things. We use them for science-related things. Chemist, thank you for the follow. Enjoy your points. And so you can use your points to buy things like factoids or make us take a drink. We are happy with either of those things. And you can use your points for predictions and guess which one of these answers is correct. So the question is, the size of the global biosensor market in 2020. And so biosensors are sensing biological materials. This could be virus detection, this could be proteins, this could be pregnancy tests, whatever it is. What is the size of that market? Is it greater than 20 billion or less than 20 billion? And this is the global biosensor market. Texas Space Agency redeemed. Take a drink. So, cheers, Texas.
Okay.
You need a break?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Oh, maybe I don't.
No worries. Texas, thank you for swinging by, and thank you for the raid again. It's always a pleasure to have you, and it's always a pleasure to make us drink on a Wednesday night, so cheers. All right, global biosensors market. Is it greater than 20 billion or less than $20 billion? This is basically technology that wants to sense biological materials very accurately and efficiently and very specifically, at least as much as possible. What is the size of that market? Ooh, wow. This is a 99-1 right now. If it stays like this and it's less than 20 billion, it's 143-1 payout. So we'll see how it goes.
Are these points that you have that you're...
So I have infinite points.
Oh, okay.
I can't really bet. This is the points that people are spending. So someone is very, very confident the answer is greater than 20 billion USD. Yeah, betting against the majority is a good way to return on investment. Sometimes you're right.
Oh, I'm still going. Yeah, sorry.
Well, now it's counting up. What is going on?
I've got the goods. I've got to deliver the goods now, I believe.
In under a certain amount of time?
I don't know. I think it's just with the remaining damage that I've... So, because I did... now I think I can take my time. I've just got to...
Rels
not
Bells,
get the
thank
cops
you
on
for
the
the follow. Enjoy your standard internet units. You have 5 seconds to make your prediction now. Go. Oh. All right. So, Rob, do you want to see the breakdown here?
Sure. So everyone says it's more than 20 billion.
Well, so it's 3-3 in terms of persons, but in those persons betting, they bet a lot more.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
1.5K versus 30 points.
Paul is in the building, right?
Yep. All right, so
this
what's
is
the
ridiculous.
answer?
I'm completely lost in this.
The answer is
It is more.
it is greater than 20 billion.
It is.
So the audience was right again. Greater than $20 billion. In fact, you have the number right here.
Yeah.
It's 22.4 billion worldwide, 7 billion in the United States, and a
Yeah.
majority of them are electrochemical.
I think so. That year, that number is increasing every year. So that's actually the 2020 number. So it will just continue to increase. And that's not a comment on the American healthcare system, which increases exponentially anyway. But you have so much more uses for this technology. New sensors that are coming out. It's growing. So. And I would like, another reason I added that question, not only because I work on biosensors, but electrochemical biosensors are the predominant biosensor. So most of that number is from electrochemistry.
Fun factoid, breathalyzers are electrochemical sensors.
That's right.
I actually got booted from jury duty because I know how they work. Just kind of fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a backstory on that. So in Los Angeles, the only time I got called for jury duty was for a DUI case. And like they're going through interviewing the jurors. And one of the questions the lawyer asked was, does anyone know how a breathalyzer works? And I was the only person to raise my hand. And he was like, I'll get back to you later. And so they went through their asking questions, trying to find biases and all sorts of things like that. But then they came back to me and they're like, okay, you know how a breathalyzer works. They didn't quiz me on that necessarily, but they were like,
you probably knew more than they did, right?
Yeah. But their follow-up questions were really intriguing because what the lawyer asked was, can you abandon that expertise and make your decision solely based on what the expert testifying says? So basically not using my knowledge to make a decision and only basing it on the expert. And I was like, yes, I could probably do that, right? I could consciously make the decision saying they're wrong, but based on what they said, they're right.
Right.
But the follow-up question was breathtaking. They said, can you prevent yourself from thinking those thoughts?
I interpreted your first question as that. Like, that's
No. So the first question was, can you abandon what you know, like in terms of you know it's wrong, but base your decision solely on them. But then the follow-up question was, can you stop yourself from thinking those thoughts? And my question to him was, is that even physically possible?
Right. Yeah.
And he responded with, well, some people can do it. And I was like, I'm not one of those people. See you later. You are no longer on jury duty. And so, yeah, that was pretty crazy. So I got booted from jury duty. I actually wrote a chemistry blog post on this that actually got published in Nature Chemistry. So that was one of my outside of research graduate school highlights, was getting booted from jury duty because knowing how a breathalyzer works. Do you want to explain that, a breathalyzer at all? Or are you familiar with how the breathalyzer works?
I'm not fully familiar because pretty much every electrochemistry I've ever done has always been solution based, and I like using those theories of like diffusion to explain what's going on with those processes. So I basically, even when I teach electrochemistry, I'm quite selective as to what I teach in order to make it as broad as possible.
Yeah.
And
well, in defense of a breathalyzer, your students might be directly impacted by that measurement. So it might be worth touching on. But for those of you that don't know, what a breathalyzer does is it takes ethanol from your blood content that supposedly goes into your lungs at a certain percentage, and then you breathe it out. And so what happens is that ethanol goes into the gas phase, and it goes through this electrochemical cell that basically oxidizes it from ethanol up to, I'm assuming it goes to acetic acid. And then they measure the electron flows based on that electrochemistry. And so that's how they quantify that current that flows proportional to the amount of ethanol in your blood, and that's how they get a blood alcohol level. With that said, there are a lot of false positives and ways that can go wrong. Like if you're diabetic or something, you can breathe out things like acetone as a byproduct of diabetes, and it actually screws up breathalyzers. So, fun factoid for the day for those of you interested in doing breathalyzers.
I assume that's why they also have to back it up with a blood test if you fail, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you should refuse a breathalyzer. They are not particularly good tests, not particularly accurate.
Well,
Well,
I've seen police videos where, well, but scientifically, yes.
Yeah, but administering and
Dealing with police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually doing it. So does sucking on pennies really work to defeat it? Tropical Cyclone wants to know.
I've not heard that before.
That's one of those like old wives' tales of getting out of DUIs.
Yeah. I can't think of a reason why it would work, and therefore I'd say it wouldn't work.
I think this has been tested before. I don't know why it would work. Like, copper is not going to oxidize ethanol, and it's mostly
Yeah, but it's also sucking on copper. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. You have beliefs, but what if an anti-vaxxer disagrees? Can you abandon your feelings on science, Mr. Scientist? Is that possible? No, you're booted from jury duty. All right. Wolverine 60C has redeemed Take a Drink. Rob, cheers again. So we're at the 10:30 mark. Is it time to...
I'll take a drink after this because I think people will see the next mission then. Not that people are into the gaming, but this mission has also taken too long.
Scuzzbot has brought to my attention. In some states, it's illegal to refuse a breathalyzer. So take my advice with a grain of salt. But be aware that you can fight a breathalyzer in court, even if you... it really depends on how accurate they are and how they're calibrated, and there's all sorts of problems with breathalyzers. Not quite as bad as like lie detectors, which are entirely artificial, but so it goes. Imagine that jury might have changed their minds had they had somebody who knew how it worked. And that was one of the things they were concerned about in booting me out, right? Because if I'm in the jury room with people, I can express to them how a person was wrong. So I'm adding additional information and additional expertise outside of that. That's why they booted me.
Now I'll take a drink.
All right. Cheers, everyone. Fullerene 60C, thank you for joining us again. It's always a pleasure to have you on stream. All right. Are you ready for some NARC?
Let's do it.
All right. We're going to transfer.
Is it bad that I don't know what NARC is?
No, that's the perfect way to play NARC. Actually. Okay. So we have Game Genie codes.
The controls look simple.
It's a Nintendo controller. So there is NARC. Ladies and gentlemen, at Ask a Scientist Gaming, we always close the night with NARC, which is a game that's clearly exemplifies why we've lost the war on drugs. So yeah. Just Say No. Are you familiar with the DARE drug program in like elementary schools in the US?
Just Say No. Yeah.
Oh yes,
we had Say No to Drugs, which is the
same thing. Yeah. So this is the like 1970s Nancy Reagan byproduct here. Go ahead and press start. So you have Game Genie codes. You have infinite lives. You have infinite rockets.
Okay.
You have infinite bullets.
I saw these pencils that had something like "Don't do drugs" on a pencil. When you sharpen them, they become
do drugs. Yes.
What do I do? What's shoot? Okay, B is jump, A is shoot. Got it.
The legal system is adversarial. This means they don't care what's right or wrong. The only thing they care about is beating their opponent. I could rant about this for hours. Absolutely. I should have a legal expert on at some point.
Where's my health?
So I mean, if you really want to know what's up there, like you also have infinite lives.
Oh, so is that a cheat?
Yes.
Okay. Does everyone have to cheat?
Yes. This is actually, it turns out a really hard game if you don't have the cheat. Nintendo's pretty unforgiving.
Yeah, I'm being shot a lot, I think.
Yeah. So you've died once already.
Okay.
And you have 3 lives total.
Got it.
So don't worry about that. So if you hold A, it's bullets. If you tap A, it's rockets.
Oh, and you have unlimited?
Yep.
Oh,
well, you have because of the cheat codes.
Oh, okay.
And if you tap B, it's jump. If you hold B, it's squat. And most of these levels, you're going to walk right and just get outdoors is basically your goal.
Okay.
So killing people doesn't actually get you anything other than extra bullets and rockets you don't need. And I forgot to start the timers.
I can restart.
All right, let's do it. We're going to start over.
Is there a scoreboard?
There isn't a scoreboard.
What's the timer for?
Because we speedrun this game. At least I speedrun this game. I try to run.
When you speedrun, do you bother killing people, or you just go? Okay.
No, you go as fast as you can. All right, press start. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we're starting over. So Ryan Bombach did this in something like 22 minutes
So if you're
last time.
You don't even... do you even shoot then?
You have to sometimes. There's a few bosses you have to fight, but don't
Can you
lose
run
sleep
faster?
about your rigged fresh run. Cuddle Puppy's upset that you got a trial run on this.
Oh, sorry.
Cuddle Puppy, I hate to burst your bubble, but usually when people show up to the house, I let them play this a little bit before the stream starts, just so they're not going in completely cold. And Rob didn't get that, so he's made up for it here. So we'll call it fresh run. It's the war on drugs. We all cheat. Absolutely. It's completely justified. Bubble burst. Yeah. The man behind Ask a Scientist gaming curtain has completely ruined your world.
How do you shoot a dog then?
You have to squat, hold B, and
okay.
use the bullets. And then, yeah, you're basically going through all the doors.
Okay.
Bubble burst. I like it. All right, anyone just joining us, Ask a Scientist Gaming, where we combine mediocre gameplay with expert-level science. Guest today is Rob Lazenby, who's an expert in electrical analytical chemistry, which is basically using electrical currents and voltage to measure things very accurately. And he does this both spatially and size-related measurements. And so he's happy to answer any questions about sensing biological things with these measurements or the accuracy of them or anything you might want to ask. We are happy to answer those questions. Throw them in the chat and we will address them over the next half hour of the stream, while Rob plays NARC and wins the war on drugs. You didn't know you were winning the war on drugs,
It was
did you?
lost.
No, this game, you're going to win it tonight.
Oh, okay, right.
We will beat this game tonight. That's what the infinite lives are for.
He works.
Like, say
Does
what
shooting slow you down? It doesn't, right?
No, it doesn't. Turning back slows you down, but yeah, shooting doesn't. Getting shot does, actually. Every
I noticed that, yeah.
6 times you get shot costs you a second. And those cost you it's like half a second.
So what's the slowest time?
The slowest time on our stream is I have to help fight one of the bosses, which kind of negates the timer.
Okay.
So, but don't take this too seriously. This is
No,
a recreational
I'm ready
stupid
for
game.
science.
So what happened was when I did my stream, so you have to shoot the black guys and get a blue card from them, but it has to be with bullets.
Okay. The dog's very annoying.
So squat, yeah, hold both buttons.
I got
There
it,
you go.
yeah.
So I played this once when I was on stream, and it's like a bargain bin game. Ah, there you go, you got the card.
I got it.
It's a bargain bin game that I liked as a child and we had, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just, it's ridiculously stupid. But several of my guests have played this before, which is pretty astounding. Steele's Lunch has redeemed Take a Drink. So Rob,
I'm out of drink
oh
currently.
man, you want another one or is it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. One more. It might be out of Coke. Do you want it straight? Black label?
Do you have any of a pop?
Maybe. Actually, we might have some.
Like a Sprite or a... Thank you.
Oh,
You
you
know-
found the car.
So I saw a car. I'm guessing I could have got in the car.
Yes,
And
unfortunately.
I'm guessing it would have been a lot faster.
Yes, for a little bit. All right, Steele's Lunch. Thank
How
you
do you
for
get in the
redeeming.
car then?
Take a drink, you jump.
Oh,
So tapping B jumps in the car. I apologize for missing that. That's a milestone in this game. Steele's Lunch, thank you for redeeming. Take a
cheers.
drink. We are happy. Cheers. Welcome, everyone. Drinking on a Wednesday night. Hopefully you're joining us. So this is the longest level in the game.
I was thinking
without the
it's
car.
quite different to the previous two.
Yeah, it's just kind of walk. Hope you don't get hit by a helicopter. Don't worry, you're going to get another car coming up here.
Very good. Oh, that took down something. What's this blue bar? 33200.
So that's your points, and then this is your health, and that's your number of lives.
Okay.
And over here is bullets and
So I
rockets.
can ignore my health, right?
Yeah,
Basically.
you can ignore pretty much everything and just walk right in this game. Note that when you shoot the dogs, they become small. Physics, I don't know.
Are they drug dogs, I'm guessing? Who are these guys?
If it makes you feel better about shooting them, they are in fact drug dogs.
These look like monks or something.
Usually we go with flashers. Trench coat and...
Sure.
Oh man,
Right,
there you go.
Jump.
Yep.
Nope. Am I doing something wrong?
There you go.
Oh, nice.
So you're going to want to slow down up here a little bit and go up, because there's going to be bombs.
Oh.
Yep.
Thanks.
It happens to everyone. No worries.
Any more questions?
Nope. It's kind of the end of the night where we taper off. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to throw them in chat. Otherwise, I can ask you questions, because one of my favorites that I always ask is, what movie or TV show gets your discipline right and what gets it wrong? So it doesn't have to be electrochemistry specific. It could be tangentially related. Could be a movie about Tesla or something like that. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, there's one. So I didn't know this, or I didn't think of it even until. Oh, that lasted long.
I'm sorry. It's part of the game.
So yeah, one thing I did in my analytical chemistry course, based on some notes another professor gave me that had it as an example, was in Breaking Bad, which does quite well actually scientifically. They have electrochemistry at one portion where the RV breaks down and they need to make a battery.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. That's yep.
Okay. So actually, that battery, based on the quantities, wouldn't provide enough current or amps to start the engine. They do the right things, and they do make a battery, and they also make a battery with a sufficiently high voltage. Yeah, sorry. Let's go this way.
Yeah. If you're worried about the speed run.
Oh yeah. So it's 8 minutes ish.
Oh, you want to know the record? The current
22,
world.
you said. Oh, world record. I'm probably not. The world record would be someone who got in the car, I would imagine.
Yeah. No, the world record is 9 minutes and 24 seconds.
Oh wow! And how many levels?
You have about over half the game to go.
Okay, so
you won't be breaking the world record tonight.
I assume it gets progressively harder too.
It kind of stays the same game except for the boss at the end. Texas Space Agency wants to know, the real question is, why does it burn when I pee? There's probably a biosensor to help with that. We're going to assume it's gonorrhea, but who knows?
Yeah, you should probably get checked out.
Or, oh man, kidney stones.
I actually fell down that time. That was new.
Do not come to Ask a Scientist Gaming for medical advice. I strongly encourage you not to take anything we take seriously in terms of medically advising you.
Did you have anyone from biomedical sciences?
Yeah, we've had a couple. Rob,
now I'm stuck. Am I in a loop?
Yeah.
Am I doing something wrong?
Don't go up in the door again. So after you go through the door, stop walking up. We had Rob Tomko on, who's an expert. There's your rage. Cuddle puppy, where are you? We got a rage in NARC. Where's our rage emote? Aaron Vanucci actually quit Madden 2007 while on stream.
So I need to go in a different silver safe card. That looks interesting.
A red badge of courage, if you say so. Yeah.
Who are these people asking questions like this?
It's just fun, you know. I see curves. IC Curves, I want to point this out. IC Curves 69, their first time chatting in Ask a Scientist Gaming is gonorrhea hurt at AF, which I appreciate. If you're going to drop a line, you might as well have a big entry. So I appreciate
we have to
that.
go the wrong way now, or the other way.
I don't go to Twitch for medical advice. I do go to Republican congressmen. Oh, you're going back to politics. We're not going to dive too deeply in there. All right, we'll do our other favorite question of the night.
Insert green safe card.
Yep, so you're going to have to kill the Rambo-looking guy with bullets instead of rockets.
Oh, bullets are those ones.
Yep, bullets are the only way they drop cards. And you'll have to be close to them, which is weird. So you can't shoot them off screen. I don't know. Yeah, there you go. It's something about the restriction rules.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that's the kind of thing that would take you a few seconds to work out.
And that's the hard part about the speed run is the card drops are RNG, which is random number generator. So sometimes you get the right drop, and sometimes you hit reset and start over. So it's actually a huge pain in the ass. Texas Space Agency, sorry I've been drinking and just trolling. Don't worry, so have we. We're pretty thoroughly buzzed at this point after, what was this, our
I think that is all cool. I like Petuap's name.
Yeah, no, it's nice. Drunken blacksmithing is the best type of blacksmithing. That's worth a Twitch stream. Drinking is not against Twitch's stream terms of service unless you're like encouraging overly drunk, then they actually can red flag it. But,
I thought that's what we were doing. Oh, no.
But now the car is deterministic. Yeah, we figured out how the car spawn works in this game. So my brother is actually reverse engineering this game to figure out how it works.
Okay.
Because the reveal is I am the world record holder in this game, which is why we play it. So I played it once on stream as a joke, and then it came into a running gag where everybody plays it. And then I got challenged to run it as fast as I can.
So how close are you to the world record then?
I am the world record. So 9 minutes and 24 seconds is my time. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm formally the best player at NARC in the world.
And that's because of
this stream.
Okay.
Yeah, because people challenge me to it. So yeah, my brother's a computer engineer, is actually reverse engineering the game. Oh man, Icy Curves, I would love for you to challenge my speedrun. I approved a new run 4 days ago since I'm the moderator of NARC speedrunning as well, and they're in 7th place. So anyone that wants to add to that scoreboard, watch my video and it'll show you exactly how to beat this quickly. So yeah, beat my record. I would love to be challenged. Anyway, too curvy for you, too curvy, too furious. Absolutely.
I need a blue safe card now.
You have it.
I do?
Yep. You're actually flying through this pretty quickly.
I don't know how to use it. Okay.
All right, last 15 minutes of stream. If anyone has questions for Rob Lazenby, ask them now. He's happy to answer any questions about electrochemistry, electroanalytics, biosensors. He's gonna he's gonna win the war on drugs while answering your science questions. If you want to slow him down, ask really hard questions. I don't think that'll actually matter in this game, but worth a shot. But I'll throw one question. It's another one of our favorites beside the movie one is,
go on.
If you had an unlimited budget and no moral qualms, what experiments, what research would you pursue?
Can I just, so when you say no moral crimes, is that personal moral crimes?
Because
it would be I'll answer before you even answer that. Like,
right.
if I didn't have a soul,
yeah,
it would be just cool to make new animals, like with DNA, right? Like just even if you can't get dinosaur DNA, just to make something that looks like a dinosaur just by genetic engineering, which can be done.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do it.
So there are researchers actively trying to take birds and reverse engineer them into dinosaurs.
I might need a hint. So I need a gold safe card.
Yeah, so the guy in the wheelchair, you have to shoot him with a rocket.
Oh.
You know, because... There you go. So you're going to have to do that 3 times.
Oh. And how do you work? Like, that's something, like, if you do it once and it doesn't happen, like, how do you work that out?
Here's the fun part is you see him inchworm off the right. I see if you want to beat my record, I'm going to tell you how to do it.
Well, I'm 14 minutes already.
If you shoot him and then despawn him off the left side of the screen, he doesn't do the inchworm and it saves you about 15 seconds. So that's my major contribution to this speed run.
Yay. That's twice.
Yep. So a 3rd time and then you're good.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of moral issues come up with biology, and I think there's a lot of things that just seem interesting, that if you really didn't have any moral issues, you could easily be the first to do a lot of stuff. Obviously, that's not a reason to do everything, but it'd just be really interesting to see the results.
So to give you some context to some of our previous guests, developmental psychologist Sarah Hart wants to have an army of twins and separate them at birth.
Okay.
Then you could study, nature versus nurture. Matt Hauer.
So people are taking literally.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
Matt Hauer is a geographer, and what he wanted to do was put an ankle bracelet on everyone in the city to monitor their motions and where they go, and then send a hurricane at that city. Just to track human migration.
Okay, I get the question.
And so,
is this what's going on now? Who's Mr. Big?
This is the reason we have drugs in America is Mr. Big's giant head. And so,
is there any particular hint?
Yes,
shoot a lot.
Icy Curves. If you haven't seen this game before, it's absolutely amazing, and this is why you should speedrun it. That is Mr. Big. This is the final Ross.
Is this a good strategy?
So you have to actually jump and shoot him in the hat. So you're going to want to get away from him.
Hat.
Yep. And there's no way you would know that.
No.
So jump and run to the right and get away.
Do you see a health bar on him?
No, you're going to shoot him in the hat.
With a rocket is good?
Yep. I recommend going to the top of the screen where his tongues can't hit you. Scientific troll question is trollish. Dinosaurs went extinct for a reason. It's because they sucked.
Is this the boss fight? Is it?
Yeah, this is the final boss. Will human genetic modification be allowed ever in the future? I think it's being done now. All right, you got his eyes off.
But is it allowed now? Right?
I mean, there's no real
And who's
rules.
doing it?
Yeah.
I would imagine it's not government-funded American labs. It's not the NIH that's doing it, I would imagine.
All right, so now it's bullets. And it's really weird because you can't be at the top of the screen. You have to be somewhere lower. So just hold down bullets, and sometimes you'll pop a vertebrae and other times you won't. There you go. 2 of them down. Way to go. The Cuddle Puppy wants to know, do you ever get compared to a forgotten James Bond actor?
So do you know about this?
No, I don't know. Is this something I should know?
So how many James Bonds can you name?
Sean Connery, Roger Moore, the recent ones, Daniel Craig.
Craig, yeah.
Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
There was one that did one movie. Is that the one we're talking about?
Yeah.
What is his name? I don't know.
He's George Lazenby.
Is it really?
It is.
Lazenby. I did not know that. I would know. I would remember that.
That should have been a factoid, right?
Yeah.
But not at the top of the screen. Hey, there we go. Am I done?
George Lazenby, you are.
So
I didn't know that. That is a fun factoid, actually.
Yeah.
That was.
It's fun for me, I guess. Also, the chemist who made Dr. Pepper. That was a Lazenby. That was actually a Robert Lazenby, I think.
Gattaca confirmed documentary.
Can we stop the timer?
No.
No.
Now you have to do civil forfeiture the level.
I do.
So this is where
there's no boss, right? No.
Yeah, no. This is where the police steal money without due process.
Do I need to collect money, or is it just...
No, it's just for
just run to the end.
24K gold bars.
Yeah.
But now 18 minutes and 8 seconds without any assistance. I think you may be the record holder on NARC. Ask a Scientist.
Still double you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but to be fair, you've played this once, and I've literally played it hundreds of times. I did a run the other day that was 9 minutes and 30 seconds, having not played in a couple months. So you can put.
So what's your score without cheat codes, or is that?
No, that's without cheat codes. So the speed run.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The 924 is without cheats. You can't. Wow. You can only do the run.
Okay, that's much
cheats.
more. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I'll show you after the stream how depressing it is to play this game, because you just need to pick the right place to walk, basically. So it's pretty fun. All right. Well,
who is the person asked the last question? Because that's
which one? The James Bond actor?
Yeah,
that's Cuddle Puppy.
That's not it is not a well-known fact, but if someone knows my name, it's interesting who will know it. It's often older people, but I don't know. Yeah,
Cuddle Puppy. Dr. Lazenby confirmed James Bond descendant. Sure, we'll count.
So he was actually Australian.
Oh, really?
If you're interested.
That's interesting. I thought they exclusively did British people. There was an American actor who turned down the role because it was, I don't know, dedicated to Brits. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, we'll catch up on
1869.
Texas Space Agency. What role does oxidative stress have to what we consider normal aging process?
Are you talking biologically now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one might be a little out of your
I
domain.
don't see this question. Where are you seeing?
It's a previous one. I catch up on them.
Okay. So what role does oxidative stress have on what?
Mm-hmm.
On the aging process?
Yep.
I would argue it's mostly those physical changes, but it's for most people it's unlikely the thing to kill you, and therefore I wouldn't worry. So if you get a few wrinkles, if you have damaged skin and all this stuff, I wouldn't be concerned about it.
I mean, so
in terms of aging,
yeah,
what you're really worried about, I believe, is dying, and dying before you're supposed to die. And so I just take care of like health and diet before I'd worry about other stuff like that. But that's a non-biologist's answer.
That's fair. All right, we got 5 minutes left on the stream. Do you want to see level 1 without? Well, how you speedrun level 1?
Yeah, go on, let's do it.
It's going to disgust
Have your
you.
audience seen this previously?
They might. I mean,
Yep.
it's up on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, let's
which has
do it.
more views than any of our streams actually, which I'm not sure how that happens, but anyway.
Yeah, so just so everyone knows, Ken's playing now.
So all you have to do to figure out in this game is where to walk to not get hit by bullets.
Okay. So you're kind of blanking everything out. You're just
Yeah.
yeah.
So this is, I mean,
Okay.
basically most of these early Nintendo games, they're not deterministic patterns, but they're very like standardized positions and where they are, and then you jump over a few bullets.
Is this? So maybe I don't know enough about how they program gaming. But has it changed a lot? Because obviously graphically it's better, but like
So like
certain games still have this predetermined path of an
not
enemy.
anymore. Even this one is not entirely predetermined. So we don't know what controls are. So if you play Mario Brothers, most of the game is predetermined, like where the Hammer Brothers are going to show up and what pattern Bowser is going to have. This game, according to Colin's reverse engineering, it's based on the button pushes as well as the time when you start the game dictate what happens. And so if you can't execute the exact same pattern, it's a certain randomness associated with it.
I see.
And so
So you couldn't do this blindfolded, is what you're saying?
No.
Yeah.
But Mario you can to a certain degree. This one you might be able to if you have certain cues to go off of. But yeah, this is most of the speed run. It's finding a path and jumping over bullets.
Yeah.
If anyone has suggestions on people we should raid in the next 5 minutes, feel free to throw them in chat because
People
we're
should
close up.
rate.
Raid, and so
raid.
we basically bring in Texas Space Agency brought his viewers to us, and so
Okay.
we can do the same thing with other people. So we try to raid.
How
typically.
many viewers do we see now? Or more specifically, maybe people could let me know, are there any of my undergraduate class or my
Any of Rob's students in the
Yeah.
chat?
I'd be interested.
She should have offered extra credit if they could write a report on something you said. So that blue card is a random thing.
What?
Ask a Cheater Gaming is not a raid. D-Chemist is apparently one of your students.
Welcome.
Or maybe one of my students. I don't know.
Maybe.
All right. You want to see the car level? I'm just running this to kill time at this point because we have
do it,
3 minutes
'cause I'm-
left, and you
'cause
were
I'm
too
good,
good.
is what you're saying.
You were way too good.
Way too good.
So what's fun about this is my brother figured out if you go past 7 lampposts, the spawn of the car is dependent on how many people are on the screen.
Okay.
So if you kill, like now the car's going to spawn because nobody's on the screen.
Oh.
Then you have a certain number of seconds before the wall, which I'm not going
And
to
so
do.
wait, did your brother do this reverse engineering and then told you, or how much time has it been?
It's been a
figuring this out.
Collaborative effort. So I empirically, observationally figured out a bunch of stuff, and then he actually looked through and did a tool-assisted speed run and figures out what code does what. And so, kind of
So
fun.
is he a coder? Just out of interest.
Yeah. He works for Honeywell. He's an engineer that actually reverse engineers things. But yeah, so this
You can walk under those. I thought you had to jump over them.
There's certain ones-
There's a lot of things I'm
look at
learning
that.
just from watching right now.
So, Rob, if you want to commit to getting good at this game, there is a 2-player option. You could be a world record holder with me.
So what's the gap between you and number 2 then?
The posted time is about 4 seconds. My fastest time, I have a one that's like 21 seconds that I haven't actually submitted yet.
Okay, you're number 1 and number 2.
Well, I've like several of the fastest times, but I only
see.
posted the one that got me first place.
Yeah.
Because it takes time to upload and things like that. So I have
Yeah.
a faster time that I haven't shared yet.
I think I might give that a pass. Just because I can see how much time you've probably spent in order to get to that level.
I mean, the hard part was actually figuring out some of these things. Like, as soon as you know the patterns, it's not too bad. Like, now I can sit on the bottom and I'm not going to hit anyone till the end. So I'll run into a wall at the end here.
Yeah.
So I'll go up.
So did you have anyone for a second Ask a Scientist session, or is everyone a...
So Eugene has done it twice. Justin has done it twice. So we've been up for about a year and a half now. So you're like the 27th guest. But
I should probably say to the audience, I wasn't going to do it because I really wanted to wait to be in person.
Yeah.
And I do like outreach activities, but I think it's probably it's probably going to be that this situation we're in currently means that this kind of in-person thing is difficult to do. And so yeah, it's pretty cool doing it. If you wanted me back, I would.
No, that's awesome.
I was to play Warzone.
Well, we'll test out the PlayStation 4. I apologize anyone that was coming for expert Warzone gameplay because
there might be a new map by then. If people know Warzone, the Verdansk map was out for a while, and this Caldera one has only been out since Christmas. So I wouldn't have been too familiar with it. But
knowing maps in first-person shooters is no joke. Like that's most of the gameplay. We'll see. With my fiber optic connection, I might go back to online Halo gameplay. Oh, he hits the exploding. Yes, that glass has an ethanol molecule on it. It's actually one of our... there was a green card drop immediately. I was pretty lucky.
Are we on for a world record? Is it?
No. Okay. This is probably 7-8 seconds behind world record already. Also, I have cheat codes on, so none of it counts. We might as well.
So cheat codes do not make it easy, essentially, for
speed running. They don't really help you because at that point when you're speed running, you can't get hit much, or it costs you more time than it actually saves having cheat codes.
Okay.
So it's not really.
So yeah, I get you. So if you get hit, the falling over and stopping is the killer.
Yeah. Not the actual getting hurt. And so my fastest time ever is a deathless run where I didn't die at all during the entirety of it.
Not bad.
These levels, it's all about finding a specific lane to walk down, not get shot. One player game, one hand gameplay. Did anyone figure out are you guys drinking Bacardi? No, we did
it's the Black Label. Johnny Walker, right?
Yep, with Coca-Cola. It's about a 4-to-1 ratio. I wasn't too accurate on my measurements, but did anyone suggest anyone we should raid? Anyone have ideas?
So raid is stealing points.
Raid is bringing
stealing. Was that list of real people? Everyone uses fake names, right?
Yeah. So you don't know who they are unless they actually tell you.
But you knew Roper was on earlier.
Yeah. Because I know him from when he was doing it. He actually did a remote stream, so we set it up so it was via Zoom. And that was like peak COVID.
Oh.
This really becomes a boring game when you figure it out, though. It's unfortunate. Just walk to the right.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's fun. There's a bioinformatician. Thyroid root. That sounds like a fun raid. All right, sorry. Now I have to close it out because I started playing this. I apologize.
Close it out. We're running over.
Yeah, we're at 11 minutes and 3 seconds. Oh, come on. I've already screwed this up sufficiently. Oh, that was terrible. So I'll show you the my major breakthrough that saved 15 seconds is getting him off that side so he doesn't inchworm to the right. So then he'll spawn really quickly now. versus 15
Okay.
seconds.
Yeah, that was a lot faster.
Yep. So you don't have to wait for them necessarily. So you do it again, then it'll spawn almost immediately.
I'm pleased you're coming second out of your people.
No, I really think you are. I'm going to have to do a compilation of how fast people are going at some point.
So the people you invite, obviously they're all scientists. How many of them are actual gamers?
Some of them. We've had some good gameplay. Like, I mean, they pick the ones that they really loved, like growing up, like ones they played a lot. So it's really fun to watch them very quickly pick up where they left off.
Yeah.
Because like you've played so much that you know certain games. It's like written into your DNA at some point.
Yeah, I think that driver game, it's like, I didn't remember any of the levels, but I certainly remembered it being good fun.
I mean, that's one of the best part. Like, even if you don't like the cheat codes, if you want to beat like the old Nintendo games that were impossible when you were a kid, we can do it now with Game Genie codes, and it's not too bad.
You don't have to answer on Twitch, but do you get these legally, these games?
So technically, the emulator that plays them, the like program that runs the games, is not illegal, but the actual ROMs are only legal if you actually own the games.
Okay.
And so we own pretty much every game that's here.
Right.
So
or officially to the audience here. Yeah.
No, I literally have a NARC cartridge back there that I could grab and actually show. Okay. And so, yeah, it works out pretty good. I think technically, since you own Driver, that
I own
counts
Driver
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
in a box in an attic somewhere in the UK.
Yeah. Fun factoid: if you put an ass here, it doubles your score. Because you know,
really?
Nintendo games. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a suggestion of somebody to rate. Thank you all for swinging by Ask a Scientist Gaming. It is always a pleasure to have you in the audience. Your questions are awesome, and I'm making this a lot of fun. It really opens our eyes to the world and what can be asked and what we should discuss. So we really appreciate anyone swinging by. Rob, any parting words for the audience?
I'd like to say yes, but let's say no. No, it's I'm joking. No, yeah, it's been fun. I appreciate the invitation, and I know you've actually asked me a few times, and it took a while to get out of me, but it has been fun.
To be fair, your hesitancy is completely justified when somebody says, "Do you want to play video games, drink, and talk science?" Because it is not what you expect. So I appreciate that. All right, well, everyone, thank you again for stopping by. It's been a pleasure. Again, it's always awesome having an audience here. It's fun to talk science. And Rob, thank you very much for coming by. I'm sorry that Call of Duty Warzone didn't work out. We'll figure it out next time.
Yeah, sure.
It was fun playing Driver, and you got to beat NARC, and I think your record time in Ask a Scientist Gaming. So
I'm good with that.
Congratulations. I'll make another additional speed running scoreboard. Volerine60C, thank you for the last minute subscription. We appreciate your support. Again, you guys don't have to subscribe or give us any money of any kind, but it does help pay for the alcohol, so we appreciate it. So thank you again. Volerine60, always a pleasure. Or 60C, always a pleasure. Everyone else that joins us regularly, stick around. We're going to do a raid. We're going to figure out who it's somebody that was mentioned in chat that's a bioinformatician. So we're going to raid a fellow scientist. I don't know who's going to be up in 2 weeks. With COVID, it's getting kind of hard because I don't necessarily want to cross departments and I don't want to do a remote stream. Worst case scenario, I'll be on in 2 weeks playing Halo or It Takes Two or something. So you can swing by again in 2 weeks. If not, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Discord to see the upcoming schedule and who's going to be on. So again, always a pleasure. Thank you all. Until next time, thanks again for swinging by.